Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 41st edition of the TWitWoW monthly Q&A. It is November of 2019. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody! It is Thanksgiving here in the States. Thanksgiving Day, as a matter of fact. It is November 28th, 2019, and we got 40 questions this month, a little bit below our usual, but it's Thanksgiving. People are probably already, preoccupied with eating turkey and watching football and sleeping if they've already eaten turkey. And it's going to be a nice, slightly shortened Q&A. Not too much, it's like 11% fewer questions than we usually get, but it's not the biggest of deals. That said, though, John, have you seen some of these questions? And regardless, are you excited to answer them?
I'm always excited to answer our audience questions because they definitely put their backs into them, to say the least. So, yeah, let's dive right into it, man. I haven't really seen any of these, except for the ones on my pinned tweet, of course. And even then, I think I've only glanced at them rather than, thoroughly read them through. So,
I might have even miscounted it. We might have 43. I might have miscounted it. It's either 40 or 43. But still, let's just get right into this. First three questions are from Hypothesis. He always gets them in as soon as the last Q&A video finishes processing. So let's go. First question from Hypothesis. What fictional character would you like to see inspire a new wrestling gimmick?
Fictional character inspire a new wrestling gimmick? That's a very good question, actually. I know Mankind got inspiration partially from Hannibal Lecter, so I can't say that. Otherwise, it'd be on my immediate go-to.
You know what? I'd like first.
Yeah, I was about to give an answer, but I'm curious what you have.
One Punch Man.
There you go.
I want a wrestler who is exactly as strong as he needs to be to win every match.
There you go. Yeah, I'm gonna say, because I'm always a fan of the dark monster characters that seem to come every once in a while that may have the potential to grab the audience. I'd like a character based on Pinhead from Hellraiser. I think that'd be a really cool aesthetic with how far makeup has come and everything for a wrestler to have. That'd be really fucking cool. And maybe be a nice contrast to the Fiend and shit, especially if he ever goes babyface. So that'll be my answer. Next question.
Just to do a quick roll call, Chiefin is here, Mark is here, Super Blue's here, Foster's here, and Brandon Best is here. Got a few loyal TWitWoW fans in the chat right now. Did you do bass tagging, by the way?
No, I'm going to get to that, though.
Okay, yeah, I'm only asking because I figured you didn't, because of the fact that I was only able to get this up 5 minutes before we went live anyway, so I kind of made it difficult for you to even do. So blame me, guys. Don't blame John for the lack of attendance.
You can blame me. I always dig the heel heat, but yeah, internet's a bitch these days. So
all right, well, anyway, let's get into our next question then from Hypothesis. He wants us to pick another wrestler to become a 2-time Hall of Famer, and then he also specified what team or faction would they be considered a part of in his question. So let's see, who's going to be another 2-time Hall of Famer, and what would their sort of faction be? John, if you want to go first, I'm going to open the floor to you. In the meantime, I'm going to think of what my answer is going to be.
So it's just I can name anybody that I feel is going to be a 2-time Hall of Famer?
That you want to be, I think, is more what it is.
I feel like Kofi is going to be a 2-time Hall of Famer.
That's fair.
For his own career, and then the New Day, because the New Day as an entity has done so well. So, yeah, I'll say Kofi, and then, his whole thing would be his second Hall of Fame ring would be the New Day. So.
Oh. Yeah, Racist Fan Rocks is here. Racist Fan Rocks did not get any questions in for the first time in a while this month. It was weird. But yeah, I mean, it's so another wrestler to become a 2-time Hall of Famer. I mean, truthfully, it's going to be probably 15 to 20 years down the line, but I think that literally all 4 of the 4 horsewomen will be 2-time Hall of Famers, because the 4 horsewomen will be inducted as well as each of them individually. But I'm guessing Becky is gonna be first, and that's I would be rooting for Sasha, but I'm guessing Becky will be first, if not Charlotte, which, God, please, fuck you, no. For all, Charlotte's gonna go in there 3 times, once as Charlotte Flair, once as a member of the 4 Horsewomen, and once because they're just gonna induct the Flair dynasty into the Hall of Fame. So yeah, I'm gonna just say Becky Lynch though for my straightforward answer. Third question from Hypothesis: if Ash's Charizard was owned by Triple H, do you think he'd abandon it for having a son in the next anime?
Yes.
What kind of
Yes.
even is this? I don't think he would abandon it. I think he would be really passive aggressive towards it from that point on.
Yeah. Passive aggressiveness is the best.
All right. Up next, we've got 3 questions from Cliff from Twitter. First up, what talents that were once in WWE but now on the indies are disappointing you most? And he thinks he knows my answer to this one, but I don't know.
Once on WWE, now in the indies. I mean, Enzo and Cass continue to disappoint me, both with their like real life antics and their wrestling antics.
That's a different kind of disappointed though. That's not like, oh man, I was expecting more. I thought they would be better in the ring. I thought they would be better performers. That's just like dad disappointed. Like, I'm not angry, son. I'm just disappointed in you.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what other talents that we really liked in WWE have gone to the indies that like are viable answers.
I'm gonna just say Pac.
Pac, definitely. Pac, if we're just talking purely from that in-ring standpoint, Pac is numero uno without a doubt.
Yeah.
I expected him to light the world on fire, and it's just been very underwhelming.
Yeah, I expected him to reproduce, or not reproduce, but to be able to produce matches that are just insane quality at the same rate that Moxley has been producing promos that are insane in quality, and that just did not happen at all.
No, yeah, I completely agree with you about Pac, for sure.
It's weird because I feel like a lot of his WWE matches were better than any match that he's had since leaving WWE, which I usually will not say about anyone. But
yeah, no, I'm right there with you, man. And the funny thing is about the WWE matches, I would say that with him both as a face and as a heel. Because even I feel like his heel stuff in WWE was better than the stuff he's doing right now for the most part. I think he caught like one good promo in AEW that I liked. But then they killed his winning streak, which that's not his fault. I blame AEW squarely for that one. Yeah. But it didn't help matters. And yeah, I just really haven't been able to click with him like I used to. So it kind of sucks.
And Cliff, if you thought that my answer was going to be Cody, the reason it's not is because I didn't have expectations for him in the first place. So, Jackie is here. I just saw Craig Skiff is here as well. Foster made it. He's here, and Hypothesis as well. So we've got more people filing in. It's awesome to see everybody here. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody that wasn't here at the beginning when I said it. And yeah, I would just say with Cody, I really didn't have expectations, which is why he wasn't my answer to this. But if you expected it to be Pac, props for knowing me better than I thought you did.
There you go. Next question.
Second question from Cliff. Who can actually beat the Fiend now and it makes sense? I'm going to say literally nobody.
Yeah, it's... Well, actually, no, Ashton. I'm going to take a different route than you because you and me both came up with a suitable answer for this. I think the big WrestleMania story, if WWE was smart enough, they would do Fiend and Braun Strowman. Me and Ashton hashed this out over a game of Rocket League. Because Braun's got the power and all that stuff to do devastating stuff to the Fiend, but he's also got the personal connection with Bray Wyatt that the other people, I mean, it's not that they don't have it, it's just that it's more of a negative personal connection than Braun. Like, Braun, it was actually an affectionate one. I reminded Ashton that when the Fiend attacked Braun a couple months ago on that one Raw, you could hear Bray break through, and he says, why just Rollins? Why? You can tell he's lamenting having to attack Braun. So we said that, it's not even necessarily Braun beating the Fiend. He's technically beating Bray Wyatt, but Bray Wyatt takes control of the Fiend, like in the closing moments of the match, allowing Braun to win. And then maybe that's how we begin laying the groundwork for a Fiend face turn. Yeah. So I'm going to say Braun Strowman via him appealing to Bray being able to retake control of the monster that he created to take his power back, referring back to my thread on the Fiend and mental health. And yeah, then we lay the groundwork for a Fiend babyface turn. So I'm going to say Braun Strowman.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that the reason that I said nobody specifically is because, like even you said, he wouldn't be beating the Fiend. He would be beating Bray Wyatt because he would be getting that personal connection that would allow Bray to take control back of the vessel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
That's more what I'm saying is that if it's the Fiend, nobody can beat him. It's going to require somebody that can make Bray take control of his body, take control of the vessel, and basically reduce its, power level.
Yeah.
Is. So that's more what I was going for when I said nobody. So nobody can beat the Fiend, but if somebody can get Bray to come through and, suppress the Fiend personality or the Fiend spirit or whatever you want to call it, that's how you beat that character, is by getting him to go away. The third and final question from Cliff: who is the most underutilized talent in AEW that doesn't involve Luchasaurus? Can I go first here?
Absolutely, you can.
Angelico.
Yeah. I can see why you'd say that.
This fucking dude was never healthy in Lucha Underground, and it pissed me off so much. Not because I was angry at him, but because of the shitty luck. And now he is healthy. He is 100%. He can go. And they're not doing anything with him. And when they do anything with him, it's so that he can put other people over. Like, this dude's a fucking star. Use him like one.
Yeah. Let me think about who I would say to that. He said not Luchasaurus, so there's the gimme.
He said not anyone involved with Luchasaurus, so that includes Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt too, but I don't think...
Right. I feel like MJF, they're finally starting to get it right with him. Otherwise, a while ago, I would have even said him. Trying to think. Yeah, I mean, especially because I really don't give a crap about AEW anymore. It's going to be even harder for me to answer this. But, fuck me. I'm trying to... You know what? Is there like an AEW roster page that I can just look?
I mean, he also didn't specify that it has to be a dude if you wanted to name a female.
Yeah, Hikaru Shida, I feel like that was starting to get pushed. Otherwise, I would have said her.
That's not even who I thought you would say.
Let's see here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say Jimmy Havoc. Because that dude's a great fucking promo. And he does great stuff. And the idea that we haven't gotten his match with Moxley yet, which I'm not saying you should rush, but like, you should be getting those two to interact a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to say Jimmy Havoc. That dude, even though he's a bit on the older side, in fact, how old is Jimmy exactly? Is he like 37? He's 35. So he is a bit on the older side. I'm not saying he's like a young gun by any means, but he's still like young enough that he could be putting out bangers for your company, legitimizing other talent. And again, give me that fucking Moxley program. So Havoc's an easy choice for me.
Yeah, and I was thinking you were going to say Jamie Hayter, but...
Oh, well, she just got there, though, to be fair. I'm not looking to, like, rush that. But, yeah, I mean, compared to how she does in Stardom, I was even praising her last night on Twitter. I said it's like the wrestling gods knew that Paige's career was such a fucking train wreck that they gave us a bird's eye view into, like, an alternate universe. And it's just been absolutely amazing. So, yeah, I mean, I adore her, but she just got there, so we'll see what happens. But, yeah, Jimmy Havoc has been there for a little while, and it's a shame that you really haven't established that guy as one of, like, your top heels, because it's very clear to me that Mox is baby. Even if some of his stuff could be interpreted as heelish towards AEW, the crowd is eating his shit up. And I feel like you need an antithesis to that, and that should be Jimmy Havoc to me. And then you really build up to their face-off on one of your big pay-per-views of the year. That's money to me. So... yeah, Jimmy Havoc for sure.
Yeah, and just because you didn't want to really own up to it because you said that she's only just got there, I'm going to go all in, and I'm going to say the fact that AEW haven't literally started building their women's division around Jamie Hayter as the top heel is blasphemy in my eyes. Like, I understand Stardom not necessarily wanting to do it because of the fact that she is a gaijin, but they put the title on B, so why not, right? But AEW, like, she is going to be a massive fucking star in the US, whether it's in AEW or not. So if I'm AEW, I'm locking her down as much as I can at least, and I am pushing her to the fucking moon, and I'm giving her everything because that is the kind of talent that AEW needs to be pushing right now. She's different. She feels like alternative. Like, she feels like she stands out. She's really different than everybody else in women's wrestling right now, especially now that Paige is retired, because you could make an argument that she kind of looks and talks and sounds like Paige and stuff. Paige is gone, and Jamie has a much different build and style than Paige ever had.
Yeah.
And she's just different. And I think that AEW needs to cling to different as much as they can, because they're starting to feel way too much like Raw Light.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm gonna get us to move on here. Next question. We've got 5 from Super Blue. First up, how do you feel about Alex retiring the Deluxe Man name in 2020?
I support him in whatever he wants to do. You know, I think it's always a risk when you have a long-standing brand like he does with the Deluxe Man name. But you know, it's just a name. It's just a brand. The content's still the same. So I think he'll be able to land on his feet. And I think this kind of liberates him a little bit because I know he's told me he wants to do other kinds of content. And I think if that's what he wants to do, I think he's a very determined guy. I think he'll definitely make it work. So all power to him.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's pretty cool. It's going to be an adjustment period, I think, for everyone, you know, between him and his fans and friends. And, you know, I think that eventually it's probably a good decision because it's, you know, when you go from identifying as sort of an alter ego to identifying as yourself, it makes it come off as much more personable. It makes it easier for your fan base to connect with you on a deeper level, that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Plus, yeah, the t-shirts are going to be pretty fucking dope, and you're welcome.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Next question.
Yeah, the second question from Super Blue. How do you feel about the new Sonic trailer and redesign?
Very impressed. You know what? I will say this. I don't want to see the movie regardless. But I will say for a studio, and I don't even mean that as like a passive aggressive, it's just not my thing. But I will say, for a studio to take the time to listen, to not put it out anyway, because they probably still would have made their money. Let's be real. Yeah. They probably still would have done well enough. But well enough wasn't good enough for them. They listened to people. They did a redesign, which looks great. And now, just judging from the YouTube comments I've seen, from the Facebook posts I've seen from friends of mine, a lot of people went from I'm not touching that with a 50-foot pole to I actually may not only go to this, but like have a little viewing party with my friends to go see this. So I really commend a theater for like listening to people. And wouldn't you know it, even in this capitalist hellscape, if you listen to the consumer, they will come. Nudge, nudge, Vince. So good on them. Definitely much respect for sure.
Yeah, and I'm almost I'm almost a little more extreme than you because I went from like, yeah, it looks kind of weird, but I'm excited that we're getting a Sonic movie at all, to I'm all in. I'm definitely wanting to see it. So
yeah,
2 steps more positive than you about the movie across the board. Yeah. I admit that the original trailer definitely looked different. It looked weird. It didn't look right because it was like it wasn't true to like the Sonic character model that everyone is used to. But I probably still would have ended up checking it out eventually anyway, just because it's a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and I just have grown up with that character, and it's, you know, and plus, even if I didn't love the animation, it's Jim Carrey, man. I fucking love Jim Carrey, and I would him even if not for Sonic. So yeah, they hooked me, and then they went into all that effort to make the Sonic character look more true to the original model, and that's like huge bonus points for me. So
definitely, yeah,
I'm excited about it. Third question from Super Blue. Oh wait, is this for me or is this for both of us? Let me look real quick. Super Blue, question 3. It is for both of us. Cut a promo. God damn it. Cut a promo on Dakota Kai being a failure since her return from injury to her heel turn, and drop a fail bomb on her.
Are you even? I mean, look. Here's the
thing.
Listen,
I'm not your puppet. You don't tell me to drop a fail bomb when I don't want to. God damn it.
Yeah, same here, actually. I just remembered that I have rights. Second of all, you know, if you really want a promo, look, here's your promo. Honestly, I'm not going to cut a promo on Dakota. I'm going to cut a promo on everybody that just wants to jump on, oh, she failed. Why? Because she's doing something different for her? When did she ever tell any of you mouth breathers that she turned heel to help Team Shayna? I don't remember that being Dakota's logic. Maybe Dakota's logic was, I'm tired of everybody shitting in my goddamn mouth, including the people I share a locker room with. Maybe I want to do this for me. But no, nobody ever bothers to think about that, do they? Nobody ever bothers to think that somebody might want to do something for self-improvement or to advance their own career. Oh, clearly, and don't even get me started on the Twitter shippers. Oh my God, guys, wouldn't it be great if Dakota and Shayna were an item? Shut the fuck up. Every breath you take is an insult to my existence. Jesus Christ. would you all fucking learn for once that maybe, just maybe, Dakota wanted to be her own person? Maybe she wasn't thinking about the team that she wasn't even invited on winning the match, or the other team that didn't even care to invite her on until last fucking minute as an alternate win the match. Maybe she just wanted to make a statement for her goddamn self, because ever since she got on the roster, she's been nothing but a goddamn afterthought, when all I would keep hearing is, oh, she's one of the best women's wrestlers. Oh, she's so good. Oh, she's so amazing. And she finally shows it, and all people can think about is, well, Shayna still lost though. That's Shayna's own fault. What else do you expect Dakota to do? I'm sorry Shayna was dense enough to get handcuffed to Rhea Ripley, and yet everybody wants to point a finger at Dakota. Why? Because she's a layup? Because she's your punching bag? Maybe that's exactly why she turned heel and spit in every single one of your faces to begin with. And you know what? I hope the loogie's still dripping off your goddamn chin. Get a fucking clue. There's your promo.
Yeah, I'm not going to get as angry as you just got, but props to you. But I will say that it is very frustrating to see people acting like Dakota Kai as a performer or as a character, however you want to put it, failed because of the fact that Rhea beat Shayna. That makes no sense. I think that that's sort of imposing or superimposing what you think Dakota wanted onto what she actually wants. And I think what she actually wanted was revenge, or in her words, even justice on her so-called friends. Because think about it this way. Rhea Ripley chose Candice and Tegan. And before that even happened, there was a video up on the WWE PC YouTube channel that highlighted how great of friends Tegan, Dakota, and Candice LeRae were. They were three sisters. They were best friends, the three of them. And Rhea went out of her way to separate them because she saw Dakota as the weak link. So what did Dakota do? She got angry at her friends for not standing up to Rhea for her. You have two people in this team, and rather than going up to bat for their best friend and really standing up for her and being like, hey, Rhea, if you want us, you've got to have her too, because she is one of us. They just stood by. Tegan even smiled when Rhea chose Mia Yim over Dakota. Tegan Knox smiled when that happened. You can go back and watch that segment. It happened. So Dakota is not trying to help Shayna. I think that she is inevitably going to end up feuding with Rhea, but I think that her priority is not to help Shayna. Her priority is to beat the fuck out of Tegan, Candice, and Rhea. At least Tegan and Rhea. Maybe Candice won't get involved, we'll see, but at least Tegan and Rhea, because of them disrespecting her and trying to treat her like some kind of joke and an afterthought. And that brings me to my promo. My promo is going to be on the NXT creative team that thinks that Dakota Kai ain't shit, because this is the same creative team that decided that Dakota Kai should get a sympathetic rock bottom story before she had any peaks to begin with. This is the same creative team that was like, oh, we can have Dakota go on a losing streak, even though she had zero credibility prior to that in the first place. This is the same creative team that thinks that it is okay for Dakota Kai to attack Tegan Knox and still not end up helping the other team win. This is the same creative team that thinks that it's okay for Dakota Kai can turn heel and lose her first match as a heel. I hate it. I hate it. I've even said last night, oh, John, clearly you're new to Dakota Kai fandom, because the first rule of being a Dakota Kai fan, never expect her to win anything in NXT. They don't give her anything in NXT, period. So yeah, I love Dakota Kai. I think that Evie, Dakota Kai, whatever you want to call her, the character, the actor, the performer, the wrestler, is a damn talented performer, and I think that she deserves much better than the girl that puts over other girls. I think that she deserves to be in a better spot than that. And I blame the NXT creative team for that, not her.
Well, there you go. I'm glad we got to do that. Next question.
Fourth question from Super Blue. Will Keith Lee be one of the faces of the company of WWE by 2025? Or will Vince ruin him like everybody else, causing Javaris to lose his tax bracket?
You know, how can I put this? Because
I'm gonna keep it simple, man. I just heard over the weekend that Vince is apparently really, really high on Keith Lee, so I'm gonna just say that maybe he actually will be one of the faces of the company by 2025. We'll see.
See, and I just want to give a bit more of a nuanced answer, but I also want to navigate it carefully because I don't want to be like insensitive. Because like, I would say AJ is one of the faces of WWE, and like he is in his 40s, so age really shouldn't like matter. But the thing is, it was AJ Styles. Like he had already come in with such a big profile, and Keith Lee I think came in with like a little bit of buzz around him too. There's no doubt about that. But I think it's going to be a bit more of an uphill climb for him because he's 35 already. So if they really want to position him as a top face, like I feel like you really can't waste time. I would honestly say, and again, I don't mean this as an insult. This is just how I see it. I would honestly say Keith Lee is very similar to that Batista situation where it's either like main event for him or like, you know, or bust pretty much. And I think he's got more charisma coming in than Batista did because I think Batista needed to expend a year or two finding his voice. I feel like Keith Lee already has that. He already has the charisma. So I think he's
basically like Batista or Ryback.
Exactly. So he picked that up quicker than Batista.
And frankly, I think Keith Lee's more talented and more charismatic than both the guys I just mentioned. So he's probably going to have a better or an easier time making his way to the top than at least than Ryback. I know Batista was kind of given the rocket strap at the very beginning and wasn't really let up until the end. So
yeah, I mean, yeah. So like I just feel like I definitely agree with you about all that. That like he's got all that going for him. I just feel like because it's there, you need to strike while the iron is hot kind of thing.
Yeah.
They really shouldn't waste time if they're serious about him in that spot. That's just where I'm coming from.
Yeah, the interesting thing to me too, though, is that like if they want to strike while the iron is hot, wouldn't it like I think that the WWE is in a weird place right now with NXT being on the USA Network because you want viewers on NXT, like you want people to watch NXT. Like you want eyes on that product. So if you build up Keith Lee and Shayna Baszler on WWE television and on a WWE pay-per-view, and then you immediately call them up, all those people that would have watched NXT for those characters don't have reason to watch NXT anymore. So how long now are those two or characters like that get prominent, you know, moments on the main roster and on main roster pay-per-views? How long do they stay in NXT to maintain their drawing power in NXT before they get quote unquote called up or shifted over to Raw or SmackDown and potentially lose viewers for the NXT brand then, which I think Vince is going to be really, really like holding a lot of value in because of the whole Wednesday Night War situation.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens with Keith Lee and other talents like him, but glad we could share our thoughts. Next question from Super Blue. Team Ashton versus Team John versus Team Super Blue in a 5v5v5 Survivor Series match. Choose your team and determine the winner. Super Blue's team, Captain Kushida, Johnny Gargano, Brock Lesnar, Kazuchika Okada, and Rhea Ripley. And the fact that he included Rhea Ripley in there tells me that we are doing intergender. Okay. You know what, Ashley? Because I don't want to take everybody at once without giving you a fighting chance. Let's go one by one. I'll pick one, then you pick one, so that we get fair picks. Kairi Sane.
Oh. Okay. Well, shit, man. God, you really just immediately threw me for a loop because I thought we were going to be going for like big, scary, dominant, badass dudes, and you just immediately picked the most adorable little cute girl alive. And
she's resilient too, okay? Just pick somebody.
I mean, I almost feel like I have to pick a Kairi counter now, so I'm going to pick Shayna Baszler.
Okay, The Fiend.
Fuck, Braun Strowman. We talked about it earlier.
There we go. Roman Reigns.
You know who really has Roman's number?
Who?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but...
Oh, God.
He's not cool, but Seth Rollins.
Okay. So I have Kairi, The Fiend, and Roman. Drew McIntyre.
You're not tricking me into picking Dolph Ziggler, John!
I wasn't trying to, Ashton.
Yes, you were! God damn it.
God, you're so insecure.
Just let me buy into this. Keith Lee!
Okay, Dominic Dijakovic.
That's okay. I can live without him. Let's see.
So Super Blues team does win though, right? With just Brock Lesnar and Okada alone. Because I feel like we destroy each other and then he picks the scraps.
You picked Dijakovic. And you have Drew. God damn it. You know what? Fuck it. Roderick Strong.
There you go. Poor Adam. We left him out in the cold.
Well, yeah, because he cheats a lot to win.
But he does it so well, though.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of unfair from the start since we had to, like, basically pick from the scraps of what he left behind.
Yeah, I mean, again, just Brock Lesnar and Okada alone after we're done
and
killing
dude,
each
and
other.
Let's not forget Gargano. Gargano's fucking OP ass. Johnny Kickout.
Yeah, really.
Him and Kushida. Kushida, that fits Kushida too. Kushida Kickout.
Hey, listen. Between you and me, look, I don't care that we kill each other, but our team should gang up on Kushida just to eliminate him first.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Like, just beat the fuck out of him.
And you know what? We're the fucking... it's our... we make the rules. If your captain gets eliminated, your team's out.
Yeah, oh my god. This is what it's like to use our power for nefarious purposes.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah, so Super Blue, your team's getting eliminated immediately because our teams are double teaming Kushida.
Suck it!
I'm assuming your captain is Kyrie?
Yeah.
God. I would make my captain Seth just for the lulz, but I think I'm going to end up having to go with Keith Lee for my captain.
You know, I was really hoping you'd make Io the captain, but if you're just going to sink the showboat, I won't even bother. but yeah, man, we'll just gang up on Super Blue and then kill each other.
I think that your team wins, though, because I really... Oh, God. I feel like Shayna was maybe a bad pick on my part because she doesn't beat Kyrie unless she has horsewomen help. God damn it.
Yeah. And then with Braun, I would just have Roman take care of Braun. This way the Fiend could take care of everybody else. So I think I did pretty well there.
Oh my god. All right.
Oh, Foster. That was hilarious.
Wait, what did Foster say?
He said in chat, you left Adam in the cold.
Oh my god.
All right,
let's move on. 5 questions from Iconic Player 1. First up, which wrestling promotions compare with which anime?
I'm only going to assume that you mean active wrestling promotions.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like for the sake of filler alone, WWE is One Piece, right?
I was gonna say WWE to One. You son of a bitch. Yeah. Let's see. God, even though I watch more anime than you, which isn't a fair thing to say, right? I don't want to be like an asshole.
Yeah,
I do
fair.
feel like
Yeah,
I watch more
fair.
anime than you.
Yeah.
I still don't watch
and
enough.
The thing is, it's not even, you watch significantly more anime than, like, I've considered checking out a few anime series, but the actual anime that I've watched, I mean, Dragon Ball Z and Super, you know, all 3 of those series, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super, and Dragon Ball GT. I've watched all those. I've now watched all of Death Note.
Yes.
First third or so, like the first third of the series of both Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood with you. And I think that's it. I can't think of... Oh, I mean, well, no, that's not even anime. So yeah, no, I mean, Pokemon is technically an anime, but that really does not count. So yeah, I'm going to just say that's it for me.
I would say... Fucking hell. Oh, God. I would say New Japan is kind of like DBZ because it's just so hard-hitting and takes itself very seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, for God's sakes, you know, the martial arts element is always with the fucking world at stake in DBZ. So, yeah.
That's very fair. So does that mean... Yeah, dude, Chiefin nailed it. AEW is Dragon Ball GT.
Yes. God, again, because of my limited anime watching... Because even though it's more than that, it doesn't mean like it's expansive like on its own. I I would say Stardom is like Food Wars, but I only say that because everybody's so goddamn cute and they try hard and you see like the passion and the effort. It's a very weak, flimsy argumentation. I can own up to it, but it's the best parallel that I personally have.
John, you know anime more than me. What anime is really stupid and nothing makes any sense and the rules are inconsistent and everything gets overly complicated for no reason?
Oh, God. A lot of people would say Shippuden does that. Naruto Shippuden.
Well, then that's AAA right there. Then
there you go.
Does that mean that Naruto is CMLL? That's super fitting, actually. Yes, Naruto CMLL because they're both super long running. Doesn't Naruto have like 400 and some episodes in it?
No, the original Naruto I think is only 200 something. Shippuden's a bit longer though. I think it does get into that 300
but still, it's still got a shit ton of episodes, and CMLL's been around for fucking ever. And all the great moments that both of those things produce, there is a lot of like treading water and filler and like, meh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I've heard things about how Naruto is like 80% filler.
Yeah, they ain't wrong, fam.
And like CMLL, in a 3-hour show, you will get 5 minutes at most of amazing, highlight-worthy, great stuff, and everything else is a snooze fest, from what I've seen. Now, I could be wrong, but from what I've seen, that's how their shows usually are. So I think that it's perfectly fitting to call that Naruto.
Yeah, there you go.
No, Chief, and we already agreed New Japan is Dragon Ball Z. Plus, Lucha Underground didn't get popular enough to be considered a DBZ level thing.
God, I wish it did.
You could argue Lucha Underground is Death Note, and the death of L could be when, the Savage Jake Strong shows up. Like, that's the parallel.
Yeah, except in that Twisted Universe, Light just wins because we never got to see Jake Strong drop the title. Oh, God. Reminder, everybody, Jake Strong's the last Lucha Underground champion.
Why would you say that out loud?
Because hurting you makes me smile inside. Anyway, next question.
Yeah, Jackie, I was legitimately going to say Stardom could just be Sailor Moon, but I didn't know if that would be distasteful or not.
Yeah, I wanted to avoid that too because, transformation sequences and all that. But regardless, what's our next question?
Wait, what? You know what? I'm going to ask you about that later because I don't know what you're talking about. I've never actually watched Sailor Moon in my life. Second question from Iconic Player 1. How would you book the main event of WrestleMania of Brock Lesnar versus Becky Lynch? And then he also specified, would you have the title be involved in it or not?
What, the WWE Championship?
He said title or no title, so it's whatever.
I would make it a special attraction match, no title. I would make it no DQ. Obviously, I would have Becky, be defiant and everything. I would actually, if you want the truth, and I think it would take a big ask, not because I'm not into intergender, but I think you have to have, I think you have to book it a certain way, and you have to know that they can work well together. I would probably do Brock and Becky very similar to like Brock Eddie from No Way Out, where like Brock dominates most of the match, but Becky gets like those few hope spots, like the forearms, this and that, and especially with it being no DQ, maybe a low blow with a lead pipe or something and some weapons. But, because we can even say that because Brock is so salty that Seth is one of the guys that like really has his number, what better way to get to him and get payback on him than through his fiance and maybe at that point his wife. So he just starts like beating the fuck out of Becky and not going for pins when he's supposed to. But of course, Becky's defiant. So when she does regain consciousness and stuff, she'll, do the flipping off and the low blow spots and all that. I would have Seth do a run-in at one point, maybe do a curb stomp, but I wouldn't have Brock lose to that because I think if we're going to do this, it's important that Becky beats Brock on her own terms. So maybe it would be like, again, going back to the Goldberg-Eddie parallel, Goldberg spear. It only got a 2 count for Eddie. He didn't win the match off of it. Then Brock, having disposed of Seth, he's like, fuck, this is starting to become distasteful to people. More people are going to want to come out and stop me. So maybe I should do something about this. Goes to F5 Becky. Becky miraculously counters it into a disarmer. Maybe she kind of fashions it a little bit with like a steel chair or some kind of weapon. Brock taps out. Becky's a bloody fucking mess, similar to like when she got insanely over because of Nia Jax's ineptitude. And yeah, Becky Lynch beats Brock, and then hopefully that's the end of Brock's contract, and we could just send him off into the sunset. The greatest put over he did was the man Becky Lynch, and then I would use that to put over the next dominant woman or whatever that you would want to, just to kind of bring Becky down to earth a little bit. So that's probably how I would do it.
So I also have a carryover from the last one. GCW is Dead Man Wonderland.
Nice.
If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But yeah, so the way I would do it is Becky wins the Men's Royal Rumble. She's a surprise entrant. Maybe she's number 30, but she wins the Men's Royal Rumble. And her options are Brock or The Fiend. So obviously she goes after the actual human being. And the way that it turns out is because of some kind of circumstances involving corporate, it ends up becoming a no-holds-barred lumberjack match. So you've got the WWE roster, men and women, surrounding the ring. No holds barred, everything is legal. And Becky just gets a ton of help and still ends up winning. And I would honestly be okay with them putting the Universal or the WWE title on her because she is over enough that would be fine. And it's not like the way that she wins it would be impossible to believe or anything like that. Because, like, yeah, she would be getting help from Seth, from the other horsewomen, from that kind of stuff. And I would have her kick out of one F5, but legitimately kick out of it. And then maybe, like, the next F5, someone puts her foot on the rope for her and stuff like that. But, yeah, I think that... And I would honestly, I would even have her pull an Azumi and do the seated Fujiwara, the disarm her, but then pull all the way back into a bridge. And maybe even do, like, a Pentagon spot where there's, like, a moment where she pulls a little bit fast so that it looks like something broke in Brock's arm, and that's when he finally taps. Or maybe he doesn't tap, and she, after feeling the arm break, lets go, and his arm is just dangling, and the ref calls it, and it's just like she wins by ref decision, something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I will say this, like, your idea of going even further than me of, like, winning their own point of title honor, given the business that women in WWE are doing right now, if you ever really did want to kind of pull what Impact's doing, because they've got Tessa vying for the Impact World title, this would be a good time to do it because the women are a legitimate draw right now in WWE. So if you really wanted to, like, blur those lines and take that step, like, this is a good time to do it. So I totally,
And frankly, I would almost make sure, like, if you're gonna do this, and the thing is, I do think that they could do something like this, but I don't think they will, but they could. And I specifically would say that they should only do this if they know that Brock is done after this show. If Brock is ready to retire, but he wants to work one more WrestleMania and he wants to put someone over, and Becky is still this hot at the time, this is when you do it, because then you can have it be WWE's entire locker room grouping together to try and get rid of Brock Lesnar once and for all. And they finally get it done, and they finally do it, and Brock leaves, and maybe it's even like the championship and his career are on the line or something like that. But, like, even if they don't want to say that, like, even if they don't want to go as far as to be like, oh, if Brock loses, he's retiring, he could still just quietly leave the business, and they could play it off like, well, Becky broke his arm and he's not been the same since, so he had to retire. Like, she forced him to retire, kind of thing. You know, like, really build.
Yeah.
She's the savior of wrestling, you know, like that kind of thing. I think you could really do that with literally anybody, but Becky was part of the question here, so it just makes sense to me that would be what we would do with her. So.
For sure, man. Yeah, I really like that thought process.
All right, third question from Iconic. What are your thoughts on the current wrestling alliances? And now, just to be specific here, the wrestling alliances, as we know right now, are New Japan and CMLL, and then AEW and AAA have an alliance. And it's looking like AEW is also trying to get a deal done with DDT in Japan to have them be alliance. MLW and Pro Wrestling Noah also have some kind of signed partnership. And I guess Impact and AAA are also still in bed, even though AEW is also in bed with AAA now. AAA is they're just sleeping around, man.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest. I support those alliances. Absolutely. It's funny because anybody that's attended enough of these Q&As, you know my political views by now. And, kind of projecting them onto the wrestling scene, I would love like a borderless wrestling world where we didn't have to worry about contracts or like people being taken care of or people being used under the label independent contractor, and you could just go wherever the fuck you wanted. Hell, if one month you wanted to do WWE shows and yet the next month you were like, I want to give New Japan a whirl, freaking do it. You know, I would love if like every company was kind of like aligned with itself and almost like this big super wrestling conglomerate of just everything. And these talents just went wherever the fuck they wanted, made a good living, and had a hell of a career on their terms. You know, that's what I always loved about the guys like Guerrero, Jericho, Benoit, is like they really went everywhere. And I feel like, you know, these companies having these alliances, it gives the performers more creative freedom. Like, oh, okay, they don't mind then if I go here. Especially the companies with the alliances with the really hot companies, like, say, a WWE or a New Japan, because I say that they're two of the really big ones right now. You know, it's really great for the performers there because it's like, oh, I need a break from the WWE culture and style. Let me go over here. Maybe I'll work some Evolve shows or whatever. And again, especially for those that are aligned with New Japan, I think it's a great experience for all the gaijin that go and do New Japan shows. So I'm absolutely in favor of partnerships and alliances. Absolutely. I think isolationism in the wrestling sense doesn't really do good business, and it doesn't really cultivate good performers. So that's kind of my views on that.
Yeah, I like the idea of a borderless wrestling community as well, but I also would think like you could basically achieve something to that effect without causing just a stupid amount of like inconsistency and unrest by just having like a maximum limit that anyone is allowed to be signed for on a contract to a wrestling company. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like if nobody's ever allowed to be signed for more than like a single calendar year, that really would allow for basically a borderless wrestling company, like a borderless wrestling community, I should say.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Because like if somebody like if WWE signs somebody to NXT for a year and then that person is like, okay, I want to be on the main roster now, otherwise I'm leaving to New Japan, that gives them leverage. And like it also, in a sense, it also forces WWE to shit or get off the pot in a way too. And or if you want to say, you know, what was the phrase that they always said in the performance center? Something or cut bait. What was it? Was it cut bait?
Was it what and cut bait?
Fish or cut bait? Is it something like that?
That's what immediately came to my mind was fish or cut bait. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely think that that would make things very interesting if there was a maximum of 1 year on every, like, literally just industry wide, not allowed to sign somebody for more than 1 calendar year, period. Because that would allow people to still be able to tell comprehensive stories. Because I really don't think you need more than a year to tell a comprehensive story in wrestling. But you would still have people that are loyal to one company and signing over and over again with the same company, signing the same deal over and over again. But that would also give people an opportunity to get out if they want, to retire without having to breach a contract if they want, to, jump around from one company to another, and just stay hot. Because it's really hard to stay hot if you're in one company for years on end. And yeah, I just think that would be really interesting if nobody was allowed to sign with any one company for over a year. I just think that's a really cool idea. So, anyway, as far as the wrestling alliances go, though, yeah, I mean, like I said, borderless wrestling would be cool, but the alliances that are in place right now, I don't have a problem with. So, fourth question from Iconic: would you rather get publicly humiliated by Gordon Ramsay for a shit restaurant, or would you rather be publicly humiliated by John Taffer for owning a shit dive bar?
John Taffer, definitely.
I'm gonna say Gordon Ramsay just because I kind of admire the guy.
There you go.
He's kind of amazing and charismatic as fuck. And if I'm gonna get reamed, I might as well get reamed by someone that awesome.
There you go.
Anyway, fifth and final question from Iconic, and just a warning, John, this is evil as fuck, so you got to pay attention. Pick one. The rest are forever banned from pro wrestling. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Ladder match, steel cage match, TLC match, battle royal, falls count anywhere.
I'm going to say falls count anywhere.
Same! I'm so glad we both arrived at that conclusion. Yes!
Because here's the thing. With falls count anywhere, I feel like that's the only step, save for steel cage, which I think is a very limiting match type anyway, that you can do tables, ladders, and chairs. but you can pin somebody in the fucking parking lot if you want to. It's the most expansive match type. So yeah, if you keep that, it's like the loss of every one. The other one doesn't even really matter.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And because to me, like, ladder and TLC are the same thing. Like, there's no difference between those two matches. Like, everything's legal in a ladder match, so it's just what you call it that matters. And if you want to hang something above the ring, you could do Ultimate X style. You could do like a pole in the corner, like what they used to do in WCW. There are other options for if you want to hang something above the ring. So ladder and TLC are easy, not going to pick. Steel cage, you could still do Hell in a Cell. You could still do Elimination Chamber. You could still do War Games. Like, there are still options without just your traditional steel cage match. Battle Royal was tough, though. I really love Battle Royals, but when it comes down to choosing between a Battle Royal and Falls Count Anywhere, the winner of a Battle Royal isn't always necessarily the best actual wrestler in the Battle Royal. So I think that anytime you've got a match stipulation that is kind of loosey-goosey with who the winner is and allows for people to win even if they're not actually good at winning matches, I don't love that concept. So I'm okay with ditching the Battle Royal. So yeah, Falls Count Anywhere easily. Plus, I think you guys already know, maybe Iconic didn't know when he asked this, but Falls Count Anywhere is unironically my favorite stipulation, period. So...
Well, I knew you'd pick Falls Count Anywhere because I did know that. And then just me, I picked it because, again, it just seemed like the most logical choice when you weed out everything else. So...
All right. Up next, we've got 3 questions from Brandon Best. First up, if you had to wager a guess, John, and this is just for you, John, what member of the X-Men resonates with you most?
What member of the X-Men resonates with me most?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, Brandon, because when I was a kid, I would have always said Wolverine because he was my favorite, and I can understand, like, his anger issues. I suffered from anger issues when I was younger and stuff like that, and then I'm sure you could argue I still do on some level. But as I've gotten older and my interests and my tastes have changed, Beast definitely resonates with me the most, for sure. So gonna say Beast. Hank McCoy. So that's my answer to that. Next question.
God, I'm so fucking angry that Lars Sullivan was such a fuck up because that character had so much promise.
It really did. It really did. Him being a fuck up and then being a part of a company that's a quintessential fuck up, it was never going to happen, fam. The dream was dead before it even started.
Yeah. And now apparently we're getting reports too that he is like taking longer to recover from some injury than anyone thought. So yet another indictment on him because typically when that happens, it's, you know, he's not rehabbing hard enough. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, granted, there could have been complications that we're not privy to, but, you know, most of the time when stuff like that happens, it's unfortunately, it's an indictment on the work ethic of the person. So, yeah, Lars, looks like Lars is pretty much done. But regardless, let's move on. Second question from Brandon. What has been your favorite TWitWoW request? And this is for both of us, so answer first.
If I could be truthful, I think was Survivor Series 2002 our very first one?
I think it was, yeah.
Then I'm going to say our very first one, Survivor Series 2002, because it was a great pay-per-view for one. Me, Ashton, and Cliff were all dying in the fucking chat because of Randy Orton, RNN News, the Randy News Network, about those fucking shoulder updates. I want to tell everybody my shoulder's at 85%, and I just remember dying. We've got to pin this ass. Just so many fucking gems. Like, yeah, and you never really forget your first. It was the first one we ever did. I thought we fucking killed it. Great laughs, great energy. Definitely my favorite that we've ever done.
Yeah, I just want to look back. Yeah, Survivor Series 02 was our first ever. That's actually really cool that you even remembered that. That's crazy.
That just shows that my answer's authentic, man. Yeah, I just really dug that.
Yeah. So I think mine was actually another one from Cliff. It was our 12th TRL. It was 3 individual matches. It was Kenta Kobashi versus Kensuke Sasaki, William Ospreay versus Marty Scurll, and then Tony Storm versus Io Shirai. And it was my first exposure to Io Shirai in a full match. So that, I think, is going to go down as my favorite that we've done so far.
Nice. All right, next question.
Next question from Brandon. What's the one thing you both love and hate about wrestling Twitter? This is easy.
Yeah. I do love... Here's the thing. I know all fandoms have toxic aspects, but I love the idea of fandoms because there really is like a lot of passion. A lot of people make great tribute videos or collages or threads. There is a lot good about fandom circles on the internet, But then that does go to my least favorite part. It's just the and I can even say I'm guilty of it because we're all only human, so I'm not trying to like call anybody out. But I know we can go hard on people that like we may feel like maybe like holding our favorite back, or maybe in a feud with our favorite. Like just to give an example, Alexa Bliss pinning Kyrie twice. Kyrie's my favorite. I think Alexa Bliss was way overexposed for a long time. It doesn't help, too, that she seems to get an injury every couple of months. And sometimes I would just, be very angry about that. But I think some people with how obsessive they get, like perfect example, like the Becky and Seth fandoms. I've heard that there are some fans that are so obsessed with those two that when Seth proposed, people were actually calling like the ring maker, like the jewel shop, to see what was engraved on the ring. Like, that's what I think is most toxic to me and that I hate the most. People that just don't keep the fandom to the fandom and, like, being a fan of the performer, and instead they want to be a part of, like, the whole person outside of the ring. I've always found that deeply discomforting, and that's something I can say I've never done. I just think that's way too obsessive, way too invasive, and, I just really don't care for it at all. It leaves a nasty taste in my mouth. Yeah. So what about you, brother?
What I love about wrestling Twitter is everything about it that is what a fandom is supposed to be. Like the actual fandom, the people that are just pro their wrestler that they love and expose that passion, and the amazing threads that we'll see highlighting somebody's career, like we saw with Hazuki yesterday or the day before that, and passion projects like that and stuff like that in general, I love to see. Hate literally everything else. Like, it is the most toxic place that I've been on the internet outside of 4chan, unironically.
Yeah, for sure.
And the thing is, it's not like wrestling Twitter is the only Twitter that I'm a part of. I'm also a part of football Twitter. And football Twitter can get toxic. It's capable of going to toxic places, but I've never seen football Twitter get anywhere close to as toxic as I've seen wrestling Twitter get regularly.
Right.
And you would think, too, like football, a bunch of fucking, meathead jocks getting on Twitter, you would think it would be just a constant, like, dick measuring contest. But it's unironically less toxic than wrestling Twitter. Like, wrestling Twitter is the fucking worst. I hate it.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But then we run across people like Aaron and, that person that did the Hazuki, career thread, and that was beautiful and stuff like that. And it's not all bad. It's just mostly bad.
There you go. So next question.
Next question from Craig Skiff, actually. We've got 3 from Craig. He actually asked these in various live chats of live reaction videos that we were doing. First up, who do you think takes the AEW World Championship from Chris Jericho? He also added that his pick is Moxley at Double or Nothing in May in Las Vegas.
I can actually sign on to that. I think Mox would be a great choice, and then maybe we could revisit the Omega Mox feud. So I'll say Moxley. I can agree with that.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. The only other name that I'm going to throw out, and I am not saying this because I want it to happen, I'm saying this because I could see AEW doing it, is Hangman Page.
Yeah,
because
I can understand that.
They would probably think that it would just be brilliant storytelling to have him lose to Jericho in the world title match and then still be the one to take it off of him eventually.
Right.
All
right.
Up next, second question from Craig. Who walks out of Wrestle Kingdom 14 as the double champion?
It better fucking be Naito. Jesus Christ. And I'm nowhere near as big a Naito fan as you are, but you know what I've always said to you. I'm a big fan of justice first and foremost. It's Naito's fucking time. Give him the goddamn belts. It better fucking be Naito. I ain't here for that fucking Okada retained shit. So yeah, that's my pick. Cause like, I like Ibushi and I like Jay White. The Ibushi would be the only other person I'd tolerate because he's put in so much time in New Japan, and I know he wants to be the guy there, and it would be nice to see him get vindicated because he obviously didn't go to AEW with Kenny and company, but to me, like, even then, it needs to be Naito. Like, it should have been Naito at Wrestle Kingdom 12. Let's not make the same mistake twice. What about you?
You're going to hate me.
Oh Jesus.
I want it to be Naito, but I have given up hope on New Japan actually making Naito a champion again. So I'm just gonna pick White.
Dude, I don't hate you, first of all, because again, I am a fan of Jay. It's just maybe it would work because I know I would get worked because I'd be so angry it wasn't Naito and Jay White would be laughing at me and that would just make me angry. So like, fuck, I'd probably get worked. None of this matters. None of this matters. No, Jay White's probably gonna fucking win it. I'm gonna get fucking worked. We're all gonna complain on the internet, but you know who really is gonna win at the end of the night? Jay White, who's gonna be counting fucking stacks between his 2 championships. Oh yeah, making all that history. Oh, you wanted it to be Naito? Oh, but he was the one that ate the pin. I'm just counting that fucking money. He's a great talent. He's an amazing talent. It's just, I feel like Naito really does capture like this particular generation of New Japan fans. I don't know. I just feel like it'd be a mistake not to pull the trigger, but what do I know? My life's been nothing but disappointment on the wrestling fan front, so there you go.
Okay. So third and final question from Craig. Do you think Marty Scurll signs with and debuts for AEW next month?
Not if he wants me to keep saying fap to the flap. I mean, listen, Marty. I know you're not going to hear this, but fuck them. All right? Fuck them. Go to New Japan, all right? Screw AEW. Stay with New Japan. Maybe bulk up again. Enter the heavyweight division. I think we could all enjoy Scurll in a G1. I'm here for it. So, fuck AEW, man. They're not going to use you right. And if they do, I mean, great, I guess, but I won't be there for it, so it doesn't even really count. Yeah, I mean, these are the questions you need to ask yourself, Marty. That's all I'm saying. Just, fuck AEW. I would have him go to New Japan.
Dude.
Just stay there.
I love that Foster just said in the chat, WWE offered Naito a deal, and he immediately said, no, that needs to be rewarded, because that's not the story that I heard.
Yeah.
Did you hear this, dude? The story that I heard was they invited him to a dinner, and he stuck him with the check. He fucking left.
That's big dick energy right there.
Oh, but yeah. No, let's actually talk about the question at hand before I die laughing at the previous one. Oh God. He's probably going to sign with AEW. I think that the best thing that AEW could do is make him the leader of this new faction, the Blade, the Butcher, and the Bunny. But it seems like they might use the Bunny, Alley, as the leader of that, so maybe that wouldn't even work. But I don't know. Everyone seems to think that Marty wants to recreate Villain Enterprises from within AEW, but I don't really know how that would work. So, but yeah, I do think he is going to sign with them. I think that he is one of, and it's funny that they have a faction called the Inner Circle, because that's literally the only people that get pushed are the ones that are within Cody's Inner Circle. And I think Marty is a part of that, so I think he actually would probably be used more right than a lot of the people in AEW. So,
but Cody sucks. Go somewhere where your talent can actually be appreciated and not just for who you're associated with. You're better than this. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. He's going to do it. It doesn't fucking matter. Next question.
Next question. It's rotten butter time.
Oh, God. Hey. I had quality butter with my Thanksgiving meal today. So, yeah, we already know the first question. You know what, Ashton? I go first on these, I think, seemingly every month. Can you go first this time and just, talk about what you did this month? Because I know a lot of it involves me anyway. So you just go first, and it'll kind of help me out.
Yeah, well, we've been keeping up with 7 different TV series. So let's see. Silicon Valley, Mr. Robot, which is fucking incredible, I might add. Watchmen, which is also fucking incredible, I might add. His Dark Materials, Rick and Morty season 4 just started. We're on episode 3 of that, and that's been fun. The Purge, which I personally thought season 1 was better than season 2 so far, but I'm enjoying season 2 at least somewhat. And South Park, which has been great. For the most part. I know that John wasn't super great with last week's episode, but I think for the most part, South Park season 23 has been great. So as far as TV shows, it's those 7. And then we haven't really watched any movies lately, like the 3 of us, but my mom and I have been doing some like Christmas movies here and there. Like we just watched shit, what was it that we just watched the other night? Home Alone. We watched Home Alone a couple weeks ago, but we watched something else just like a couple nights ago. Elf, that's what it was. We watched Elf a couple nights ago. So a lot of repeats. I've been getting the hankering to watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, so that's probably coming up, maybe even on like Saturday or so. So there's that. Lots of really great gaming between John and me playing Rocket League. I've been playing the sort of the third and improved game of each of the first 3 generations of Pokemon. So Yellow, Crystal, and Emerald. I kind of have those on a rotation. Oh, Javaris with the clutch $5 super chat. New Japan will legit give it to Jay White after Naito came up with the idea of a double champ in the first place. Why do they hate Naito, man?
I would have laughed so hard if you would have done that in Will Smith voice. Why do they hate Naito, man? And God damn.
Yeah. I don't think they hate Naito. I just think that they are kind of treating Naito the way WWE treated Dolph Ziggler when he was super duper over. And it's like, well, we don't have to put the title on him because that's not going to make him any more of a draw. It's not going to sell any more merch. The people that love him are going to buy his merch anyway. And that's kind of, I think that kind of applies to Naito in a way too. I think Naito is just super over on his own. He's almost like a Jake the Snake Roberts kind of character where it's almost like they're looking at it as like it's almost a detriment to put a title on him because he's so legit without one,
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, back to the rotten butter question. There has been gaming, right. I was talking about the Pokemon games. Yeah, I've been playing Yellow, Crystal, and Emerald on a rotation. And then I've also, just this month especially, I've really gotten back into modded Minecraft. So I especially, like specifically, I've been like really playing Feed the Beast, Infinity, Evolved, Skyblock. There's a lot going on there, but there was originally a mod pack called FTB Infinity Evolved. I think there was just Infinity first. And then they made it like an expert pack and they made it Infinity Evolved. And then they made a Skyblock version of that. And that's what I've been playing over the last month. And I'm super immersed in that. So that's been a lot of fun. We've been playing a lot of Rocket League. I've been playing more Brawlhalla lately, so if anyone wants to hop on Steam and play me in Brawlhalla, I would happily beat your ass. That's as far as gaming goes. We've been watching a lot of YouTube content lately. For those of you that are curious about what YouTube content we like, we watch a lot of Etho's Lab, if you're familiar. Hermitcraft is fun. Tier Zoo is amazing. I fucking love Tier Zoo. Donkey, video game Donkey. If you don't know who he is, check him out. He's great. We actually have a new Donkey video like today, by the way, John, if you didn't know.
Nice.
We've been keeping up with a lot of new Rockstars content. Like we don't watch their Star Wars stuff, but anything they put out about Marvel or like Rick and Morty and stuff like that, we try and keep up with. New Rockstars is like, it's funny because I feel like they kind of come off as one of those like almost like BuzzFeed, like clickbait channels, but they provide really fucking good analysis too. Like I just love New Rockstars. Occasionally we will check in on that Beyond the Trailer. It's Grace, and I forget her last name, but she legit used to be in the industry. Like she legitimately used to be part of, like, I think she was like a director or something along those lines, but she was in the Hollywood kind of scene. I don't think she was an actress or anything, but I know she was in that, and she's got like insider knowledge and shit. So she's really good at talking about like box office numbers and projecting stuff like that, and talking about like mistakes that movies might have made that might cost them and stuff like that. It's really interesting. And then let me actually just look real quick. On a personal level, one of my favorite YouTube genres is people that kind of breed and raise dogs. There are 2 channels that I'm really fond of. One of them is First 508th Airborne or 508th Airborne. It's a guy who looks like fucking bald Thor. He's a beast. He's like a 50-year-old dude with an 8-pack. And he's bald and he has a big old like fucking Viking beard and he's all tatted up, but he's just like the biggest sweetheart and he breeds dogs and he's actually like making new breeds of dogs. Like he bought a relatively unique breed called a blue bay shepherd from a shelter in, or not a shelter, from a kennel down in Florida, and he used that and he's mixing that with a German Shepherd, and he's making a new breed of dog that he's calling a Lycan Shepherd, and they're really beautiful dogs. They're very wolf-like, John. You'd probably like them.
Nice.
He's also breeding a new breed of bulldog that he calls a Renaissance Bulldog that is basically meant to be like the way that bulldogs were originally bred to be working dogs. He's trying to take the breed back to their roots, basically. So they're much healthier. They look more almost like a Rottweiler. That's like if you would mix a Rottweiler and an Old English Bulldog, you'd pretty much get one of these like old Renaissance Bulldogs. They're really, really cool looking and they're adorable. And it's just really cool kind of watching him interact with the dogs. And another big feature that I love about his channel is that he feeds a raw diet and he'll do mukbang videos where he'll feed the dogs these awesome like fish carcasses and turkey carcasses and chicken and raw chicken and stuff like that. And he'll just film while they eat, and it's super like zen as hell, and I love it. And then another really cool channel that I like is Senza Tempo Cane Corso. That's not really one that you can watch as like background because she tends to yell a lot at her dogs and stuff, so she's not as good as the dude as far as like kind of, you know, keeping her dogs in check. Like the dude's dogs are super well behaved. Like he doesn't need to raise his voice. Like he puts out videos of him on hikes, and he goes on hikes through the woods with these dogs off leash, and all he has to say is like, "Oh, hey, stick around," and these dogs will like understand that that means basically staying within eye shot of him. Like it's really cool to see the way this dude has his dogs under control. And then the woman that does Senza Tempo Cane Corso, I really, really love her dogs. They're gorgeous. My favorite, if you're at all familiar with her channel, is Preacher, her big, like, adult daddy male dog that she has. This dog is gorgeous, and he is the dad of a lot of the other dogs in the program. And he produces great dogs as well. And like, yeah, like it's kind of like it's with her, it's more of like a family thing, whereas with the dude, it's more of like an educational thing. Like with Senza Tempo Kind of Corso, it's like there's this adorable dog family that I just like keeping up with like a fucking sitcom. Whereas with the dude, it's like he's gonna show you like what it's like to legitimately raise badass dogs and breed badass dogs. And I mean, it's still sweet and there's still like cute moments and stuff in there that you'll see, but with him it's just majestic. And plus he puts this really zen music in the background, so sometimes I'll literally just pull his channel up on my TV and play his videos on a playlist. It's really cool. But anyway, moving on from that, I really can't think of any other movies, so I'm going to move on to the music portion of my side of this, because I always like to kind of go over recent songs that I have been listening to. I've been on a little bit of a 90s kick just very, very recently, but less recently. I think I actually talked about Baby Metal's new album in our last Q&A, so I'm not going to bring that up again. I guess the only thing really that's new is the Dua Lipa put out a new song called Don't Start Now that I like, and Louis Tomlinson put out a new song called We Made It that I like. And that's it. So that will end my portion of this question, and John, you get to go now.
All right, I'll kind of work all over the place because I feel like I always answer this question kind of scatterbrained each month. But yeah, as far as like reading goes, I've been getting back into reading, which feels nice. I'm kind of in between books. I'm reading a little bit of everything. I think like 2 books is my limit. I need to scale it back. But one book that I'm reading, and you know, I rarely talk to you guys about the stuff that I read because I feel like that's the nerdy shit nobody gives a crap about. But one that I'm enjoying, the German Jewish philosopher Walter Benjamin, who is very dear to my heart. There's a book of him, and he wrote his almost like a diary entry. It's very fragmented, but him and a group of his friends, who I won't go through their names here because nobody would know that, they did drug experimentation, mainly hashish, mescaline, and other stuff. And I find the insights very interesting. I know one person gave it like a poor review because it's like, oh, it's just stoner writing. I think it's even impressive that they have the sobriety to record anything at all, because I've gotten stoned off my ass. And there have been times I've like wanted to write about it and things that I've seen, because there have been times that I've hallucinated. But mainly I just like to melt in my chair and laugh my ass off while I'm stuffing my face. So I'm very much enjoying that book, and kind of made me think of Hypothesis as well since he's in here. So yeah, it's been great getting back into reading. I worked on a collaborative essay with a friend of mine. It's looking like it's not going to get published where we wanted it to, because they're a bunch of dickweeds, but that's none of my business. We'll probably just go to another venue and get it published there. But it's been an immense privilege and honor working with him. He's a guy that I deeply respect. So on the philosophy side, the month has been pretty good, pretty decent. Ashton already mentioned like all the gaming and stuff. I really don't have much content to mention outside of that, except what I watch with the family. We finished the latest season of Shameless that's currently on Netflix. What else did we do?
I mean, dude, I hate to interrupt you, but you actually just got a game.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
I just want to kind of work all over the place. But yeah, because like I said, you already mentioned like all the YouTube and stuff like that. But as far as like things with me and the family, we did Shameless, Casa de Papel. We're currently in the process of, which I love. We're watching season 3 of Glow, which has been amazing. I'm saving Good Place, Foster, until that show ends out, so I'm hoping I don't see any spoilers, because I'm actually really excited about it. I've been seeing rave reviews for this season thus far. So yeah, Glow's been really good. We finished Orange is the New Black, although I feel like that was way before this Q&A, so that won't count. I'm trying to think. I feel like there was something we finished recently I got close to. We're doing the challenge, War of the Worlds 2. Really, it's a good season, but it's also a season that's frustrating the fuck out of me. Like, I like it, but I feel like everybody that's left is just so goddamn unlikable, and it just really makes it a weird viewing experience for me. Let's see, what else have me and the family been watching? So Glow, The Challenge, Casa de Papel, we did Shameless. What else? Oh yeah, we did the Breaking Bad movie El Camino. That was interesting. Yeah, so it's just been like a lot of interesting stuff with the family. Ashton mentioned gaming. Not only do him and I do Rocket League, I of course do 2K16, but that's been long established. I got yesterday, and I do have fresh batteries, Ashton, so we'll be able to enjoy Rocket League tonight as well. Nice. But I got yesterday from Chris. He got me Fire Pro Wrestling for Christmas, and that very interesting wrestling game. I don't know. I'm guessing, because this is a wrestling podcast and you're all wrestling fans, I'm willing to bet that at least 2 or 3 of you at most own at least own Fire Pro Wrestling. So I wonder if you're like me, where you got so used to the 2K mechanics that just the timing-based elements of Fire Pro kind of frustrated you and wanted you to commit homicide. I'm very grateful, though, that I found the tutorial, because I think once I get the hang of this game, it is going to be so much fun, because I can imagine myself downloading a lot of creations, obviously creating my own original characters, buying the Steam DLC, especially Stardom. Even though the Stardom DLC has gotten some bad reviews, so I may do New Japan first. I'll have to see about that. But yeah, so that's – yeah, Javaris, I figured you would, Javaris. You were definitely on my mind when I said that. Yeah, definitely, Foster, definitely. Yeah, I knew you guys would come through. It's definitely been an adjustment for me. I can't even say that I've mastered it yet, though I will say my timing's getting better relative to when I started. It's just it kind of makes you develop a twitch when it just keeps happening to you over and over and over again. But it's really fun. I'm so thankful he got it for me, because when I master it, that'll just be another game that I play and listen to podcasts with, because I love doing that with 2K16. You're continuing your tournament this week. Nice. Let's see. I do wish Fighting Row was more interesting. Let me see what else. Already talked about the reading that I'm doing. Already talked about the writing that I'm doing, which I think that's going to be my last writing assignment, at least for a while, what I did with my partner, because that was like a lot of fun. I'm doing teletherapy now, so that's an interesting thing. I'm no longer physically going. Oh, how could I almost forget this? Not to stay on it, because I don't really like talking about politics on here. You guys know that. But me and Christy went to a Bernie town hall on Sunday. My first ever town hall for any politician. And believe me, I'm still no less jaded or cynical. I'm still the same old curmudgeonly leftist that you all know, love, and are sometimes annoyed by. But it was a good experience, if for no other reason to kind of see how the sausage is made. Because I saw at the town hall some people get positioned for this camera shot and this thing done here for that aesthetic. So it was very interesting. And so, yeah, that was a really cool experience. Trying to think what else. Oh, yeah, I watched this YouTube video, Caesar Milan reacting to his South Park episode.
Yes.
That was really cool.
That was fun.
That was great. I also watched this game show that WWE superstars have been on called 25 Words or Less.
Oh.
That's very interesting. It's like you get this list of words, and then you and your opponent, whoever represents you on your teams, because I think it's like teams of 3 on each side, you have to negotiate how many words you can complete your list in. So again, it's like 5 words on your list, and you have like a 25-word maximum. But Meredith Vieira, who's the host, she'll usually start them at 20. So you figure that would give you 4 words per word on the list to describe what it is. You can't do hand gestures or anything like that. And I've seen people go as low as like, oh, I can do it in 12 words. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Again, I've watched WWE-based episodes. Becky Lynch has been on there. Seth, Kofi and Big E, or excuse me, Xavier and Big E, although I think Kofi did do an episode. Natalia was on one, and that was the only one I skipped because fuck Natalia. But yeah, pretty cool game there. Let me think. Is there anything else?
Oh, we've been keeping up with Kana-chan TV.
Yes, that is very true. Kana-chan TV for sure.
She fucking loves food.
She really does, fam. She really does. You know what? I think I'm just gonna put a pin in it there, and we can move on to our next question.
All right.
Oh no, actually, there is one more thing. As far as the music, I have been on a big Nevertell kick because they came out with a new song that I have not been able to stop listening to. I have just been destroying that replay button. So yeah, that's my music update on that side.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, and speaking of music, I guess I never really talked about this because I was looking at my playlists, but I forgot about this. Post Malone's new album is a fucking masterpiece, and I have listened to it front to back dozens of times at this point. It is so good. I love it. So,
yeah. There you go, man.
Second question now from Rotten Butter. What's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Candied sweet potatoes. Easily. I fucking love them. My favorite side. For sure.
Is it sad that I don't have one? I don't like Thanksgiving food.
That's okay. That's an honest answer to the question.
Yeah, like every year at Thanksgiving and at Christmas, I'll eat ham, mashed potatoes, and corn unenthusiastically.
So there's nothing you like on Thanksgiving, like not even like any sweet sides or anything like that. You're just not into it.
I mean, I like pumpkin rolls. They're okay. I guess we could call it pumpkin rolls, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, like that's definitely just not my food of preference. But anyway, I'm the type that like if it was up to me, Thanksgiving would be just like, well, no, not wings, but like it would be a home cooked meal, but it wouldn't be like the traditional home cooked meal. Like I'm the type that would rather have like tacos or like teriyaki chicken or roast chicken. Like I'm more of a chicken guy than a turkey guy, but I don't like dry food. So there you go.
Yeah.
Third question and final question from Rotten Butter, John. This is for both of us, but I'm going to present it to you. What would you do for a Klondike bar?
I don't know. Kill a man?
Wow. I was just going to say buy one.
Well, that's why you'll always lose, because I'm willing to go the extra mile. Next question.
And that's why you'll always lose, because you're willing to go to jail for candy.
Hell yeah.
All right, next set of questions is from Mark Schoeneman. First up, cut a promo on wrestling Twitter for pretending that people are bad wrestlers just because they've lost a lot of matches.
Is that still a thing? Do people still do that?
Apparently.
Evolve, bitch. Christ.
I mean, dude, I can honestly say that no more than a couple months ago, I saw somebody on Reddit say that Billy Kay and Peyton Royce were awful and that they couldn't wrestle. So
wow.
It's definitely not a dead sentiment, unfortunately. It just should.
But like for that reason, right? Because they just couldn't win matches.
Well, because they couldn't win matches and because they're presented by WWE as not being good. Dude, I think that the biggest problem that is plaguing the wrestling society today as a whole is people buying into presentation as fact. Charlotte Flair is presented as one of the best women's wrestlers of all time. People buy into that, think she actually is. The Iconics are presented as bad wrestlers who can't win, who don't defend their titles, who don't want to fight, and people buy into them being bad wrestlers. Like, people buying into presentation is the biggest issue plaguing wrestling today, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Honestly, what is there to say about it? Like, I didn't even know that this was still a thing. Like, if we're still caught in that mindset, do they even deserve things? I know what I do and don't do. Fuck that. No, you need to fucking know. Like, that's the same way. Just because Kyrie got pinned by Sasha at Survivor Series, am I suddenly going to change my tune and be like, oh, I guess Kyrie wasn't as great as I thought she would? No, because I know that it's the fuckwits in the back writing and producing this fucking shit. And it's so funny to me that, like, we're in an era where, like, kayfabe doesn't even have a pulse. I can pretty definitively say that kayfabe is dead, and yet paradoxically, it's alive. What is this, Schrodinger's kayfabe? What the fuck is going on here? That people already know, like, how overproduced and everything is and all the backstage stuff, and yet you can still drag people for not being good wrestlers because they don't win?
I mean, dude, look no further than Ronda Rousey. She's kind of the opposite case of this, where they did everything in their power to protect her. And I don't mean protect as in, like, not let lose. I mean protect as in not let get exposed. They did everything that they could to protect her, to the point that people believe that she's a legitimately great wrestler and performer. Like, her promos are among the worst I've ever heard, as well as Charlotte's, and her, in-ring work is sloppy as hell, and you can tell she's green if you actually just pay attention a little bit. But people want to believe what they're told. People want to believe what WWE's feeding them, and that, Ronda and Charlotte are these great performers and great wrestlers, when if you just pay attention to what they can control as opposed to what is controlled for them, you realize that they're actually pretty fucking bad at this. And we literally just had a discussion about this. It was me and Abel and someone else whose name I won't mention because I don't want to try and, sick a mob on someone, but it was a few of us in a wrestling chat on Facebook, and Charlotte got brought up, and I just mentioned that I don't like Charlotte. I don't think she's very good, and she's got one of the worst promos ever. And this other person was really going to bat, like talking about how, oh, Charlotte's promos are great. I love her delivery. She's so good. And it's just like, it blew my mind that people can still think this. And yeah, it's all opinion, and I'm not trying to say that my opinion is better than anyone else's. I just feel like Charlotte is like the closest to an objectively bad promo that you can get, and yet you still have a lot of people that think she's great at it, and it really blows my mind. And even Foster just said, real talk, I'll take Charlotte over Ronda any day, and I don't like either one of them, but at the very least, Charlotte isn't going to go breaking kayfabe and, basically saying, hey, the only reason that I'm not winning every single match is because this is fake anyway, the way Ronda does.
Yeah, God, she's awful. I hope she never comes back. She will, though. She will.
She's winning the Rumble.
Yeah. All right, next question.
Yep, second from Mark. Cut a promo on Corey Graves. And this is just for me. Oh, God.
Oh, have fun with this one. I know I will.
The thing is, I don't need to cut a promo on Corey Graves. He makes himself look like an ass without needing my help. But just in case the point hasn't been driven home, Corey Graves is the same dude that goes out of his way to talk about how people who are poor, people who are on welfare, people who are on food stamps are weak. And yet this dude grew up in a poor neighborhood. His family was on food stamps. His family was on welfare. He is the definition of a hypocrite. This is the same dude that hours before tweeting, subtweeting even, bullshit, petty shots at Mauro Ranallo, tweeted an image that said, far too many of you have grown content with talking shit on the internet without getting punched in the face. And then he proceeds to talk shit on the internet without getting punched in the face. Like, I love too that Frank Shamrock tweeted that exact image right back at him as so as to say, hey dude, practice what you preach. And yeah, Graves just doesn't get it. He literally did one of those, like, I'm sorry if people were offended apologies on his podcasts, and he is just a garbage person. He's a hypocrite. And another thing, again, really driving home the fact that he's a hypocrite. The dude goes and takes shots at Morrow for dominating commentary on NXT when he almost single-handedly held Renee Young back from really improving and progressing as a commentator in her own right by dominating on commentary with her. Like, he wouldn't let people get a word in edgewise. He would constantly be shouting over everyone, telling people to shut up, talking about how hot all these women were, swooning over women like Mandy Rose and Carmella and shit like that. And now he wants to turn around and try and act like Mauro Ranallo is too dominating on commentary. Like, I encourage everybody to not do what I just did and give Corey Graves attention, but to block him on Twitter and pretend he doesn't exist, because that's how you hurt someone like that the most, is by acting like their bullshit doesn't mean anything at all to you, because that's all they want is attention, and they're going to keep doing it as long as they keep getting attention. So I just ignored him. I blocked him on Twitter. I'm done with Corey Graves. Fuck him.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Third question from Mark. Thoughts on Punk on WWE backstage?
I think it's great. I think it's great for everybody. I think it's great for him because I think he maintains his principles, because it's not a deal with WWE. It's a deal with Fox.
Yep.
So he gets to keep his principles because he said he'd never go back to WWE, which, I'll be honest, in this business, we'll see. We'll see. I honestly wouldn't hold it against him, although I would have questions. But I think, this is perfect because he gets to do a deal not with WWE, and he gets to shit talk WWE. And again, because it's not with WWE, he can't get penalized for it because Fox is the one with the fucking purse string. So if anything, I think Punk continues to prove that he's one of the smartest guys in the wrestling business, even after being out of it for so many fucking years.
Yep.
He's still one step ahead of so many people. So I give it 100% thumbs up. I think Punk is doing amazing business for himself. I think it's good business for Fox. And really, once again, the people that dropped the ball is WWE, because how do you not promote the fuck out of this just way in advance? Because I don't know how soon they knew that this was going to happen, so maybe there wasn't much they could do. But, you let people know, hey, Punk's got a hot mic on WWE backstage, and we're getting into it. Because I feel like the numbers weren't as impressive as they should have been, but I won't put that on Punk or Fox. You have a whole marketing machine behind you, and I just didn't really see it do the work. So those are my whole thoughts on that. Maybe, Ashton, you'll differ from me in some ways, but I'm curious what you think.
I almost wonder if he's still going to be on backstage now, because they didn't even have him on this week. When you have somebody that's that big of a deal, you probably want to use them as much as you can. I wonder if he got in trouble for what he said in the first week.
God, I would hope not, because you get what you fucking pay for. If you didn't expect Punk to be honest, if you didn't expect Punk to speak his mind, why did you pay CM Punk? Yeah, it's just that simple. You get what you pay for. What were you looking to pay for if you already got in trouble for what he said? I hope that's not true, man, because that's really going to annoy me if that's the case.
But so yeah, we'll as far as him actually being on backstage, I'm kind of along the same lines as you. Good for him. I hope that he enjoys what he does there. I hope that it doesn't, wear on him the way that working in WWE did. And, just all the best. Can't really say much more than that. So I'm going to move on here. Fourth question from Mark. Make a 5-person Survivor Series team with one male from Raw, SmackDown, NXT, New Japan, and AEW. Do you want to go first, or should I? Or do you want to do a draft style, back and forth?
We can do a draft style back and forth.
Okay, let's start with Raw. Who's your Raw guy?
Brock Lesnar.
And I'll take Drew McIntyre. Who's your SmackDown guy?
The Fiend. I'll just kind of use those two from our last Survivor Series team.
What do you mean those two?
Well, because that's right. Super Blue had Brock the last time on his team, but yeah, I think that's a potent combination, Brock and the Fiend. So I'll just go with that.
Okay, I'll take Braun. Who is your NXT guy?
I'm going to say Tommaso Ciampa.
Okay, and I'll take Keith Lee. Who's your New Japan guy?
I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to say Suzuki. Might be old, but he kicks ass.
I'll take Okada. And who's your AEW guy?
MJF.
Luchasaurus. There we go.
All right.
Yeah, no kidding. That's because neither one of us are as big of a fan of him than you. We both have
Yeah,
I like more than Moxley.
Yeah, and MJF's better than him because he actually has a non-receding hairline. So next question.
I'm gonna kick your butt.
I was not expecting you to go there.
You're proud that I did, though.
The next question is the same for women, but replace New Japan with Stardom. So, Raw women, go. Or you know what? You went first last time. I'm going first this time. For Raw, I am going to take. Shit, who's on Raw? Fuck. I legitimately don't know who all's even on Raw. Asuka. I'm taking Asuka.
No. All right, I'll take Kyrie.
Yeah, that was easy for you. SmackDown, I got Sasha.
I'll take Bailey.
Okay, NXT, I will take Io.
I was hoping you would, yeah. NXT for me, you know what? Screw it. She's one of the hottest acts. I'll take fucking Rhea Ripley.
Nice. All right, Stardom, I will take Arisa Hoshiki.
Oh, damn, you took a really good one there, dude. Because if you didn't, I would have definitely taken her. But that means I'll take my girl then, Konami.
Oh, wow, I really thought you'd take Mayu, like the other champion.
No, I'll just go with Konami. She'll shoot on all their asses.
Then in AEW, if we have to pick girls that are actually signed, I'll take Sheeta. But if we're allowed to pick any girl that shows up there regularly, I'm taking Jamie Hayter.
I will take... You know what? I'll take Riho. She'll do well.
Nice. All right, so just to recap. So for our men's Survivor Series teams, I have got Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, Keith Lee, Kazuchika Okada, and Luchasaurus. John, do you remember your 5, or do you want me to try and remember them?
Brock Lesnar.
The Fiend. Tommaso Ciampa. And MJF.
MJF, yeah.
Okay. And then for the women, you had Kyrie, Bailey, Rhea, Konami, and Riho. Oh man, you've got Rhea and Riho. That's gonna be fun to keep straight. I've got Asuka, Sasha Banks, Io Shirai, Arisa Hoshiki, and hopefully Jamie Hayter, otherwise Hikaru Shida. So I think those are some fun teams. I would pay money to see those matches, honestly. Those would be amazing.
Hell yeah. All right.
Next question from Mark is actually, no, that was it from Mark. So first of 5 questions from Abel. What is your favorite Thanksgiving memory?
Oh, geez. I think this was a Thanksgiving, and it's going to sound morbid, like out of context, but we all laughed about it, and thank God she didn't hurt herself. But there was one Thanksgiving back in Jersey where my grandmother was getting ready to, set the table, and, she tripped, and, the whole thing of corn just fell on the floor. And because we were all crazy at the time, we were just like, how does that even happen? And, we didn't fret over it. And again, thank God she was okay. But once we knew that she was okay, we just thought, wow, of course. So, yeah, that definitely made Thanksgiving more interesting, was just knowing that all the corn was just, out the window. So I think that's, the best one. I really can't think, because Thanksgiving has always been more of a chill holiday, regardless of what house I was in, especially now that I'm in New Hampshire. So, besides the food just being fucking delicious, I really don't have any distinct memories of the holiday. What about you, Ashton?
I have, dude, Thanksgiving is the most non-holiday for me. Thanksgiving is literally just family comes over, we eat, and then we leave, and that's it. It's really I really don't have a Thanksgiving memory that I can share, unfortunately. And it's not because my Thanksgivings all suck. It's because they're all just entirely uneventful.
Yeah, no, I even grasp at straws, myself. No, I get it. I just think it's
maybe I think one year my grandma had the buns in the oven for too long and they turned really, really hard and black. And we ever since then, we've started calling buns hockey pucks. That's the extent of it.
Oh, nice.
So I guess that qualifies. I don't know if that was even at a Thanksgiving, though, which is why I'm not sure. That might have been a Christmas. That might have been an Easter. I have no clue. Second question from Abel, though. Oh, we're going to sink our teeth into this one. What are 3 things that you would do to improve AEW currently?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
not make it romanticized WCW.
Let's
Really,
be
like,
specific though. Like, I appreciate the sentiment, but let's try and actually be like action.
well, no, like I would have them. I mean, I'll give you, because I'm not a business guy. I'm never really that good at these questions, but I can tell you one thing that I would do sincerely, just to stay on that sentiment. Don't buy up old WCW pay-per-view names. Get a team to come up with your own original names. I know they have some original names, but I wouldn't even try and like bring back old pay-per-views. Like, if you're gonna be different, don't lean on the past. Like, that's a big fucking thing. Another thing I would do, again, small thing, don't have fucking legends get their fucking heat. Well, like, what fucking heat when you're 60-something years old? What they did with the Midnight Express when LAX beat them up, that was fucking great. That was freaking amazing. I love that. But then seeing them take it to LAX at Full Gear, it made me fucking sick to my stomach. I'm like, what the hell is this? This shouldn't happen. If you're going to take the piss out of it when WWE does it, you got to be fair and say that AEW doing it is freaking trash. I would have their concepts actually have stakes. I have no idea why they came up with that diamond ring thing for all these weeks, which culminated last night with MJF winning. It's a freaking prop. And everything in wrestling is a prop, but let me just get that in there. But at least they're props that, like, have some kind of narrative significance within the universe. Like, a world title means that you're the best. This briefcase means that you get a championship opportunity. Winning this match means that you get contender. Like, all this stuff. What does that ring fucking symbolize except, oh, I have a $45,000 ring? Like, it doesn't really resonate. Definitely you need to improve your women's division. Yeah, and I'll just cut it off there because the women are barely promoted. And the one that are, I feel like it's kind of like a revolving door of sorts. I'm actually amazed we didn't see Britt Baker at all last night, honestly. So, yeah, there is a lot that I would improve. And there's one big one, but if I keep saying things, I'm not going to leave Ashton anything to say himself.
Well,
so
no, I mean, if you have one big one, what was it?
Well, just not make it a fucking vanity project. Like, because I really feel like you're right with the way that, like, Cody with, like, the pyro and the stories he gets and the Young Bucks and Dustin, like, look, if you want to put the world title on yourself or whatever, I guess that's like a staple. I guess you can't say you own your own wrestling company until you fucking do that, I guess. But, like, put other people over. And that's why I guess I will give Cody a little bit of credit. The idea that he had a promo segment last night to introduce the Bunny, the Blade, and the Butcher was pretty cool. Like, I'll give credit where credit's due. But it still just feels so fucking masturbatory. It's bad. It's bad. But yeah, I'm curious what you have to say, actually, because you have a far better mind for this stuff than I do. So what do you think?
So just to recap, your big 3 points were: 1, stop trying to be WCW. 2, what was the second? Because I know the third point was work harder to make the women's division matter. But what was the second point?
Second point. Oh yeah, like, have more substantive concepts, like that whole Dynamite Diamond thing. I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Okay, so my number one most important thing that AEW needs to do, that they've come out and said that they don't want to do, that I think that they need to just fucking suck it up and do it anyway. Hire 1 to 3 people to write your shows for you.
Yeah.
Now, I mean specifically writers, actual writers. If you want to bring them in from Hollywood, that works. If you want to bring in guys that have wrestling writing experience, that works. Even if you want to hire Vince fucking Russo, I don't like the guy, but having a mind who knows how to format and write a wrestling television show is so fucking important, and they have no clue what they're doing on that front. It is garbage. And really, not only that, but also from a writing perspective, not only keeping track of wins and losses, but keeping track of stories, keeping track of character arcs, making sure that you know that things make sense beyond just, oh, well, this guy has this many wins and that guy has that many wins, so let's put them together and this guy wins. And another big problem with the win-loss thing, too, that I'm not even going to try and give advice on is, like, they're basically booking themselves into a corner because, like, well, if we want this guy to be our next challenger, then we have to have him win this many matches. And it's just a really convoluted thing. And Evolve tried it early on and it failed, which is why they don't do it anymore. So the whole keeping track of records thing is a cute gimmick, and I don't think it's going to last long. But anyway, so number 1 is get actual television writers behind the scenes to do that job for you. And just to clarify here, I'm not saying that you should have promo writers. I'm not saying that you should have script writers. I'm not saying that you should have people telling your performers what to say or how to act. That should be entirely on the performers. But what you should have is people that can format a TV show, people that can keep track of storylines, people that understand how to tell stories, and people that understand how to make fans want to see things and then give those things that you made them want to them. Number one, right there, story writers, period. Okay. Number two, let's see. God, I'm just trying to fish for what specific thing I want to say. So the first biggest thing is the writing team, and I think that alone would solve so many problems, I feel like. Number two, though, really, I'm going to say this. Start throwing money at more people. You have a billionaire backing you. You have money to throw around. You have 2 hours of television every week, plus an hour after that you put on YouTube every week. You have time that you can utilize a roster. Your roster right now feels very, very, very limited. I feel like we see the same dozen or so people on television every single week, and that is a problem. You need to entice, you need to, work a roster rotation into your lineup as much as you can, as quickly as you can. And you're not going to do that with a limited roster. So you need to go out, you need to throw money at people. And the main reason for this too is because if you don't, WWE is going to. WWE has been throwing money around like it is fucking nothing for the last year and a half. And that's because money isn't anything to them anymore, because they've got billions in the bank thanks to Saudi Arabia, Fox, and the USA Network. So you guys, with your billions because of the con money, you need to start throwing that shit around too. You need to be going after women. The fact that you haven't already signed Priscilla Kelly to a contract is fucking retarded. I apologize for using that word. I am really frustrated right now, and that was a terrible use of that word, but it is an incredibly poor decision that you have not gone out of your way to sign Priscilla Kelly. The fact that you have not gone out of your way to really, before Priscilla Kelly, before Santana Garrett was signed to NXT, you should have signed her. You should have gone out of your way to sign, let's see, who else can I think of? Even fucking Taylor Hendricks. Like, I know that she's controversial, and I know that there's the whole thing with Jay Lethal, but she has a presence online. You guys are appealing to internet fans. You need to be going out of your way to sign people that are going to be popular among internet fans. Taylor Hendricks is one of them. The fact that Tennille Dashwood's contract with Impact is either up already or ran out a little while ago or is running out soon. Go get her. You need to be stocking with people. You need to get Marty if you can. You need to go out and get people. Go out and bring people in. Go get David Starr, for fuck's sakes. Like, get somebody that actually is going to stir up some interest. Go sign names. Throw your money around. Put it to good use. If Priscilla Kelly's signed to MLW, I'd be curious as to when she signed with MLW, because if it was after AEW started putting their roster together, then it's still AEW's fault for not signing her first. So I seriously think that it is a huge problem that AEW is being as sort of conservative with their just stupid amount of money that they have as they are, because they have almost an unlimited supply of cash and they have a very, very tight, limited roster. And they might think that that's a good idea because they don't have as many people to keep track of. But if they did the first thing that I suggested and sign a writing team, it won't be a problem for them anymore. So that's my second thing, is start throwing that con money around, start signing as many people up as you can. And really, I was really emphasizing their women too, because I think that would help the women's division, is just having more credible, talented women. And I do think that Shauna, and especially most recently Chris Statlander, are two really good signings for them. I think that those two women are going to be really good for that women's division. Chris Statlander really impressed me last night. I didn't know anything about her going into that. And I was watching NXT most of the night. The one thing that really the two things really that really caught my attention on AEW were the Blade, the Butcher, and the Bunny debut, and Chris Statlander's performance in the ring. Those were the two things that caught my attention the most on AEW last night. So Chris Statlander is going to be a great pickup for them. I want them to go after more women. So yeah, number one, get a writing team. And when I say a team too, I do want to emphasize, I'm not talking about 30 people like WWE. I'm talking about 1 to 3. And I really 2 or 3, because 1, it might be a little too much for one person to handle. Then again, look at Ghetto. So maybe it's not too much for one person to handle if they're that good. Number two, one is to get a writing team. Number two is to sign more people. And then number three, I'm going to say, start following through on your promises. They initially said that they were going to be inclusive and equal opportunity and all that stuff. And in hindsight, that looks an awful lot like a publicity move to me, because they're doing the what is it called, John? With the is it sensory inclusiveness? Is that what it is that they're doing?
Yeah, the sensory inclusiveness. Yeah.
So they're doing that, and I give them major props for that. That's awesome. But they signed Nyla Rose, and it was really kind of presented as like, wow, it's this big deal that this is the first major wrestling company to sign a trans woman. And yet since then, it's been kind of exposed that they didn't sign Nyla Rose based on merit. They signed Nyla Rose because she's a trans woman, and they could kind of brag about that. Like, if you wanted to sign a trans woman based on merit, go after fucking Asuka. And no, not the Asuka in WWE. I'm not trying to say that she is a trans woman. There is legitimately a wrestler in Japan who is an MTF trans woman who is amazing. She does fucking shooting star presses. She's incredible. Go get her. If you want to brag about having a trans woman, but you don't really want to commit to having more than one, and you have to just pick one, and frankly, I think they should get Asuka regardless, because she's just that damn good. But if you feel like you only want to have one, it should have been her over Nyla Rose. So really, there's a real feeling of like tokenism with AEW with Nyla Rose, where it's just like she's the token trans girl. Like, they have her so they can say that they have a trans girl on their roster. And I think that is a crying shame, because if you're really open to giving opportunities to trans women, go after the best fucking one, which is, at least as far as I know, Asuka. I would also say that there was sort of this promise of, the health insurance thing. And now it came out that the only people in AEW that are being given health insurance are the people that are also in managerial positions, like in the front office, basically. So it's literally just, and again, I bring it back to the inner circle. Like, it's Cody, it's Omega, it's the Bucks, it's the crew. Like, it's the guys that are a part of, it's like the new fucking clique, like, it's those guys. And I think Brandy and maybe Britt Baker are the ones that have any kind of health insurance. So they said that they were going to insure their wrestlers. That was barely true. That was not true at all, really, if you talk about people that are only wrestlers and don't do more than one job. And then like, what was the other? There was another. Oh, the idea that women were going to be paid as much as or more than men. I have a very, very hard time believing that any woman on the roster right now is making more than Cody, Kenny, or the Bucks. Very hard time believing that. And even if they are making more, then you're making a terrible use of your assets, because if you're paying any of these women more than Kenny, Cody, and the Bucks, you're not using them like it, that's for sure. So you're not using them like they're getting paid that much. So that leads me to believe that either A, they're not getting paid that much, or B, if they are, they're just being used incredibly poorly. So regardless, start following through with your promises. So those are my three pieces of advice to AEW. Number one, hire a writing team. Number two, go out and sign as many people that are talented and deserving as you can. And then number three, start following through on your promises. How does that sound, John?
Sounds fucking great to me, fam.
All right. So now, third question from Abel. Why do you think humans are so fascinated by mass murders if their actions are universally considered evil?
I think it's precisely because of their evil nature, as determined, by social convention, and I think just internal sentiment. We see something like that, and it abhors us, it repulses us. I think we just want to know, because of that repulsion and that social condemnation, why? Like, what leads a person to do that?
Yes.
Is there any distinctive way that you can weed out a mass murderer from, the everyday next door neighbor or mailman or this and that? That's why I feel like I enjoy the Netflix show Mindhunter, where they do like the criminal psychology and they try putting the profiles together, because it's like, you always want to put together, I hate to use this word because I know I'm not using it appropriately, but I feel like, especially in this data age, you want to break everything down to information and like algorithms. You know what I mean? Like, oh, if they use this buzzword, they're more inclined to do this. You know, I volunteered at a crisis line for 200 hours. And one reason why, and I think I am legally able to speak openly about this, one reason why I was always worried about it was because they were like storing data. Like, oh, like I'll give you an example. We found in our research that in 70% of conversations, if so-and-so uses this word, they're 5 times as likely to engage in self-harm than people who use these words. And like, knowing that we're in that kind of age, I think what fascinates us is, I think, in my personal opinion, we want to know if there is going to come a day where we come up with that algorithm or that profile or whatever word you want to use.
Somebody needs to invent the algorithm.
Exactly. Whatever concept you want to use to really say, how can I weed out, for my children's sake, for my community's sake, and for the nation's sake, who the mass murderer is and who the milkman is and like all that stuff. So I think it's just that driving question of why, what makes a person like this? How can we prevent it? Could I ever become it? And just all of those tangential questions that is just the primary allure of watching stuff like that. That's my thoughts anyway. I'm curious what Ashton thinks.
Yeah, I think it's purely like a psychological analysis thing. It's like there are going to be, and really it produces a guttural reaction no matter what. So if you're the type of person to see, oh, somebody murdered a bunch of people, they should be murdered back, that also, like, it produced a reaction in you. If you're like me and you think, wow, that person committed a mass murder, I wonder what the fuck was going wrong in their life that caused them to down this dark path, something like that. But I think it's just one of those things that it just generates a visceral reaction in us, and it sort of, because it's not a relatable thing, I think, for the most part, because nobody, like, I know this is a weird thing to say because it's kind of tautological, but it's like nobody that's not in prison has committed murder, or at least almost nobody. I'm sure that there are a few rare exceptions that got away with it, but almost nobody that is not in prison has ever committed murder. So it's not a relatable thing. And when people do things that are not relatable, that's what fascinates us the most, I think, because it's like, oh, I could never see myself doing that. Or sometimes people might even get scared and be like, oh God, I mean, they did it, and I think about it sometimes, that kind of thing. So I think that there is kind of a two sides to it. It's the people that are like, well, I could never do that. I can't imagine what would drive somebody to do that. And then there are also people that are like, oh man, God, I sometimes I think about doing shit like that too. And it's scary to think about that either, that person even exists, but it totally does. But yeah, I really just, to me, it's like, it's like God, this is such a stupid fucking analogy, but it's wrestling and everyone gets it. It's like how John Cena is always going to get a reaction out of people. Like, whether you love him or you hate him, what he does makes you feel. And, the act of ending a life is another thing that makes people feel things. Like, it's a guttural, visceral thing that we feel. Now, obviously, the John Cena thing is a completely different category, and it's, there's nothing actually offensive or wrong with John Cena, like with murder. Obviously, I shouldn't need to say these things, but I feel like I have to in today's society, so I'm saying it. But like, yeah, the idea that people can just go out there and end lives, it makes people have that visceral reaction of like, how could they? Why would they? What led to this? Like, what a piece of shit. They should. And then it also brings up political shit too. Like, it always is going to drag up the death penalty debate between people too. Like, there's a lot that gets dragged up when shit like that, and of course the gun control thing as well. Like, there's so much that gets dragged up when mass murders happen. So that's why humans are so fascinated by mass murderers, is because we have access to the information that mass murderers exist. Like 200 years ago, I'm sure there were still mass murderers, but no one fucking knew about it. But now we all know about it. And now, because we all know about it, we're all curious what leads these people doing these things,
Yeah, absolutely.
Fourth question from Abel: what unethical experiment would have the biggest? I'm just going to start over. Fuck this. My reading has been all over the story. What unethical experiment would have the most positive impact on society as a whole?
Oh, jeez. I guess just kind of any medical testing for a drug that you feel like would be a cure for a major disease. Like, I'll give you just an example because the question is a bit weird to navigate. Like, if I was doing secret experiments, because when I think unethical, right, I think about something that kind of violates standards and practices, like the Tuskegee experiments, I think, where they gave a lot of unwitting black people syphilis and stuff like that as like part of these drug trials and whatever. If I didn't have people sign consent forms and they didn't have informed consent, maybe just injecting them with lung cancer, for instance. But it's like, oh, it's okay because I have the vaccine or whatever. Like, and if the vaccine ended up working, I guess it's just such a weird question. Because again, when I think unethical, it's like you dehumanize your test subjects by depriving them of informed consent. Maybe the conditions aren't the best, whatever. So I would say something like that as it relates to maybe a cancer vaccine or a diabetes kind of cure, or just something like that. So it's a cure for a very powerful and crippling disease. But it comes at the cost of, the deprivation of human agency, again, dehumanization, potential death if the vaccine doesn't take, stuff like that. So I'd say, I guess it would be a benefit only because of how prevalent these diseases are, particularly in the U.S. especially, but it would come at a steep cost. So I guess that's my answer to that.
Yeah. God.
That's some intense shit, man. I didn't like answering that question. You have fun with that.
Unethical experiment that would be greater good. What about cloning? I think that that's considered highly unethical, but if we could get cloning to be a real thing that would work on human beings, I mean, imagine needing a lung transplant and being able to get one from your fucking self.
Oh my god, dude. Game changer right there.
Yeah, so I would say cloning, because like the entire idea of cloning is a highly ethically debated. I don't know how to pronounce or how to phrase it, but it's highly debated as far as whether it's ethical or not. And just the fact that it's that controversial, I think, makes it at least somewhat unethical, or at least perceived as unethical by a lot of people. So yeah, I would say cloning is a big one.
All right.
The other one is stem cell research, like in the U.S.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because fucking like, and the thing is, like, from our perspective, maybe like cloning and stem cell research isn't unethical, but I think that the question is more like perceived as unethical. Like, it's perceived as unethical rather than it's something that we specifically think is unethical. Because I really think that, we don't think of cloning or stem cell research as like a super unethical thing. We think of it more as just like real future scientific progress. And I've even said before that I think that stem cells could literally, and if not stem cells, maybe even cancer cells, unironically could lead to the end of mortality.
Yeah.
Like, for those of you that aren't aware, people die and age and get older and get like their bones get brittle and shit because throughout our lives, our cells are constantly regenerating. And every time they regenerate, the cell wall gets a little bit thinner and thinner and thinner every single time. And eventually the cell walls just start fucking breaking. And that's when we start getting old and things start deteriorating and getting weaker and shit like that. Well, you know what could really easily replace those cell walls is stem cells and cancer cells. So those two things could legitimately and unironically lead to the end of death, period. And aging even. Like, we're talking about a world that's similar to the movie Out of Time or whatever, the Justin Timberlake movie. I think it was Justin Timberlake, where like people pay for things with time rather than paying for things with money. And like you stop aging at 25 years old because that's like the prime of your life physically. And yeah, like that's that. I don't think that there's ever going to be a way to be able to exchange time. So that's incredibly unrealistic about that movie, but the idea of being able to halt the aging process is not necessarily a scientific impossibility. It's a potentially real thing. So, and the funny thing too is like Hypothesis is bringing up the idea that non-embryonic stem cells are more effective. I actually read a couple years ago that there was a Japanese doctor or a Japanese scientist that was able to take a skin graft and turn skin cells into stem cells that then were a perfect fit for the person whose skin was grafted in the first place. So imagine being able to like, oh, well, you know, I have, say, for example, I don't know. Knee cartilage, perfect. An athlete with knee cartilage damage or nerve damage. They could go to a doctor. The doctor could take a graft of their skin, which naturally grows back on its own, turn that skin graft into stem cells, use those stem cells then to repair the damaged knee of the same person that donated the skin in the first place. And it's like we didn't skip a beat. Like they just literally repaired their own knee with their regenerating skin. Like that blows my fucking mind.
You know what's funny? Can I just tack something onto this?
Please do.
Yeah, like it's fascinating to me because like I've always found the existence of centarians very interesting. In fact, the oldest person I think died today at 114 years old, and it always makes me wonder like what their biology or what their genetics or whatever, like how they differ from people that only live to like the national average of say like 70 or maybe even like 80 or so. Like what makes them so different? Because you figure like my grandmother right now is 87 and the oldest person again that just died today was 114. So they lived 27 extra years compared to my grandmother right now. That's insane to me. Like, yeah, there's got to be something, man. I definitely think that like life technologies, as I've taken to calling them, like CRISPR and gene editing and like all of these technologies that kind of share like a familial relation with each other, like you're saying the stem cell, I think that's going to be a big part of science. And honestly, if we weren't so concerned, and this will probably be the most overtly political thing I say all podcast, if we weren't so concerned with maintaining both the carceral state and the military industrial complex and redirected those energies and those funds towards the scientific enterprise, we'd probably be making a lot more progress than what we are right now. Like it would probably be insane.
I mean, the thing is, with the limited amount of scientific resources that are already allocated to the sciences and engineering and shit like that, and when I say engineering, I mean like practical, useful engineering, not fucking war engineering. We are already in a place where we would be able to house every person in the world. We're already in a place where we would be able to feed every person in the world. It's really not a matter of ability. It's more a matter of motivation. It's just the country is greedy as fuck and capitalist as fuck and doesn't give two shits about welfare and well-being. They just care about making their money and being done with it.
God, so close, you know? So close to a really great world. And it's like, yeah, but if they have more, I have less, though. So let's kill each other for it. Jesus Christ. All right, next question.
All right. Fifth and final question from Abel, and this is much more lighthearted. Which protagonist from a book or movie do you relate to the most?
I think I've mentioned before on this podcast that my favorite young adult series, while everybody else was hooked on Harry Potter, it was called the Shadow Children series. It's this dystopian world where like every third child, I should say, and every child that comes after is illegal and terminated by this force known as the population police, which, God, that series aged so well given the nightmare that we're living in. There was one third child in there named Trey. And I didn't relate to him before at first, because when I was younger, I always wanted to imagine myself as the protagonist, as I'm sure a lot of kids do when they read a book that they really like. But he was very quiet, very reserved, very nervous. and he just wanted to read and be with his books. And I'm like, you know what, fam? Fucking mood. Like, I don't want to adult. I don't want to have to deal with medical shit. I just want to be with my fucking books and do my research and write and do my philosophy shit. Like, I don't want to bother with any of this adulting shit, especially since adulting, it's not like a one-size-fits-all thing. Disability, all that other stuff. It's like, God, and I don't want to deal with the world being on fire, on the political side. I just want to be left with my book. So yeah, that's the protagonist I relate to the most. Fucking mood, just nervous as hell, just wants to read and be left alone. Like I feel that, fam. I feel that. So what about you, Ashton? Who do you relate to the most in those categories?
Yeah, I really don't know. I really don't know. I honestly, I've been thinking about this question since before we even went live, and I just have no clue. I just really, maybe I haven't watched enough movies or read enough books, but I just can't think of anyone that I really truly relate to. So
That's all right, man.
well, I mean, you say it's all right, but it makes me feel like, unrelatable.
Yeah.
True. But yeah, I really don't think I have a really good answer for this. So unfortunately, Abel, I think I might actually just have to pass on this question because I really don't know who I could relate to. So I hate to do it, and we really don't do this very often, but I think we're just going to have to move on here to our next question. First up, out of 3 from Noob & Co. on Twitter. What do you think of how Charlotte, Becky, Bailey, and Sasha have been booked poorly recently?
Well, I mean, I don't think Becky's been booked poorly necessarily. She's still.
I mean, quite frankly, I don't really necessarily think Bailey has been booked all that poorly either, other than just tapping out to Shayna on Survivor Series. I didn't love that.
I didn't love that either, but I mean, at least her segments are still doing really well on YouTube, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Really, if anybody's gotten the short end of the stick, it's fucking Sasha.
Yeah.
You come back with all this fire and all this hype, and you lose. I hate it. I hate it.
Twice,
didn't
she lose twice? She lost to Becky at Night of Champions and Hell in a Cell, didn't she?
Well, Night of Champions, I think Becky got DQ'd, which allowed Sasha to get the win and get her rematch.
Oh God.
But yeah, she didn't beat Becky though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like Sasha's been horribly mishandled personally. I would have had her beat Becky for the Royal Wins. I don't know if I would have Sasha still be champion. I guess that would be a matter of debate among certain wrestling fans. But I would have had her at least fucking win the thing originally. And I get giving NXT the win. I can't even be mad about Rhea winning, although I wish she would have done it more clean if they were going to do it. Sasha's ever had a problem putting fucking people over. But I just wish they would give Sasha something, man. She's so fucking talented, and I just feel she played her cards right. I'm hoping that all that money talk isn't just kayfabe, and she legitimately got a great deal. And she tried to do business for herself, and it's they don't reward smart business, it fucking sucks, man. It really fucking sucks. So I'd say Sasha, more than any of those 3, is really doing poorly, and I just wish she was doing better because she deserves to do better. So that's all I have to say about that. What about you? Anything you want to add?
Before we do this, I just want to thank Hypothesis. He pointed out that I remind him of the Big Lebowski, the dude, and I totally sign on to that. For the longest time, my Discord profile picture even was a picture of the dude, and it said "The Dude Abides." That's actually really fitting. That's pretty perfect. So thank you, Hypothesis, for helping me to answer Abel's question. There you go, the Big Lebowski. That's my answer to that. But yeah, getting back to the Noob & Co. question, I think Becky and Bailey have been fine. Charlotte is being overbooked as always. She's always fucking OP. Even when she loses to Asuka, it's still because she got misted in the face. It's not for any actual merit. I think Sasha, like you said, has really gotten the short end of the stick here. I think Sasha, she made her big return after SummerSlam. She turned heel. She had all the momentum in the world, and then she didn't win at Night of Champions, win the title at Night of Champions. And then they really built it up like she was going to, get this big, huge win at Hell in a Cell, and then Becky went over clean. And then, maybe a Survivor Series, she'll get a big win for Team SmackDown, and then NXT won that. So yeah, they, for Sasha taking this 4-month, hiatus after WrestleMania, it certainly seems like we're back to where we started.
Yeah. Shame how that happens, isn't it? Good times.
Second question from Noob & Co. Will Becky defend the Raw Women's title at TLC next month?
Yeah, she will. I could even see her defending it against Asuka, honestly, because I know she still wants that one-on-one match with her. But they may still save that match for Rumble, because as you pointed out, Ashton, 1 year anniversary. But they may also do it at TLC. So
they could do it both. They could do it at TLC and at Rumble. They don't have to do a TLC match at TLC. They could do any match, and then they could do a match at Rumble as like a follow-up. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Next question.
Yep. Next question from Noob & Co. Third and final question. What do you think of the Kabuki Warriors' current booking? And then he also asked if you think that they're booked well.
This is a hard question. Can I go first on this, actually?
Please do, yes.
Yeah, because, this is a hard question for me to answer as a huge fan of Kairi. And yes, I'm a fan of Asuka, because I know some people are like, oh, don't forget Asuka. Kairi's the fucking priority, okay? Because, no, Kana's amazing, too. I love her channel. I love her in-ring work. She's fucking great. On one hand, I dig the aesthetic. I dig that they're on TV, pretty regularly now that they're champions and heel champions. I personally, since you talked about presentation and how people buy into presentation, that's actually advantageous in this case, because I don't think the women's tag titles, in my opinion, have ever looked better since the Kabuki Warriors have won them, because they're being featured regularly on Raw TV.
Yeah.
So that's all good. And maybe this is me getting greedy, because they are heels, and you can't expect the heels to be the best. Heel face 101, heels are supposed to, I guess, be chicken shit on some level, or be worse compared to the faces. I just wish it didn't always come down to the mist, or always come down to whatever. I wish they could just look strong on their own merits. And, I'm starting to buy into the rumors that Kairi may be saying peace, because the idea that she's been a valet for Asuka recently, I want to say 2 singles matches in a row and stuff, and we haven't really seen Kairi do singles, and she got eliminated early at Survivor Series. It's you treat them like a threat on one level because they're the champions, but then when it comes time for the big matches where they could really represent and stand alongside the Charlottes, it's just they look so fucking weak. Kairi
that's right. That was going to be the whole thing too at TLC. You said that you think Becky's going to defend the title, but the rumor coming out of it is that it's going to be Becky and Charlotte versus the Kabuki Warriors versus the women's tag titles. So Becky wouldn't be defending them on that show.
Oh, wow. Okay, then. Well, hopefully Kabuki Warriors retain, but I just don't like that, outside of the titles, they don't look like this formidable force. And again, Kairi more than Asuka, her losing to a Meteora. I do not have a problem with Kairi losing to Sasha. I want those two to interact. I want that fucking match so goddamn bad. But a Meteora, and one that, all due respect to Sasha, who I fucking adore, wasn't her best looking one, I think, just because of the calamity of the situation. That pissed me off. Asuka walks out on her own power, which actually makes more sense because they're heels. Fuck that team and fuck Charlotte Flair. It's amazing to me that if you're not one of the golden people, if you're not one of the chosen people, it's not that you can't look good. You'll just never be allowed to look as good as those people. And that's a distinct difference to me. So I think that's my problem with the Kabuki Warriors booking. There is a lot to like. I don't want to seem completely ungrateful, but it's just you look at the talent level of those two women, and I still feel like they should look better than how they're currently being portrayed. I mean, Ashton, do you think I'm asking for too much, or can you resonate with my complaints, or how do you feel about it?
No, yeah, I totally agree, man. I totally agree with you 100%. It's really frustrating to me that we are getting Kabuki Warriors with the tag titles, and yet they're consistently booked and portrayed as weaker than their opponents, and they just need to win by, missed.
Yeah. All right, next set of questions, right? Because he only had 3, and that was the third question.
Yeah, that's true. Final set of questions. Actually, Alex Foster, we've got 5. First up, in kayfabe, why do wrestlers bring people backstage, considering how often guests get attacked?
I guess they just want to give them the full WWE experience.
It's like that new purse vibe. When, you get a new purse, right? And I've heard this. You get a new purse. You want to show it off to all your friends. You want to make sure that everyone knows that you have it. You want to, make sure that everyone sees you with it. It's like that, but with a person, where they just really excited about this relationship that they have with this person, and they want to show it off, and they want everybody to see them with this person, and they want to be associated with this person, and they don't give a fuck what happens to that person because they don't see them as a person. They see them as an accessory.
Well, yeah, I'd say that hits it on the head pretty well. Next question.
Second question from Foster: what wrestlers / stables probably have weird initiations?
Well, we know for a fact that CM Punk's new Nexus did. Let's see. Dark Order probably has weird initiations, so I'll say that.
That's fair.
That's an easy fucking answer right there.
I'm gonna
Dark
say
Order.
Owen Otai.
Excellent. I love it. You had a much better answer than mine, so I'll give you the point for that one. Next question.
Can great TV be written on accident?
Absolutely.
Broken Clock is right twice a day. I think it's possible. It's just rare.
Yeah, I mean, I used to, when I actually had respect for Vince McMahon, talk about really getting worked. He had a quote that I always really liked, and that's that, like, with live TV, nothing can go wrong if it's live. And, like, I almost kind of miss when I believe that he believed in that sentiment. You know what I mean? And that adaptability and that ad-libbing. I think accidents can give way to beautiful fucking things. Again, like
Becky
Ashton said,
getting punched in the face.
Exactly. Like Ashton said, it's not like an often thing, and I don't want to make it seem like, guys, let's throw out every bit of structure, like every rule book. Let anarchy reign. You know, I mean, sure, in some ways, but in wrestling, we can have a bit of coherence there. But it's just, you know, I don't think accidents should be a fucking death knell, or we have to overproduce it, or we have to cut that out. Like, maybe there's an opportunity there that we haven't seen yet. So I absolutely 100% say yes to this. For sure.
You know what, though? I am going to take a different angle of this, because the question is, can great TV be written on accident? Because, like, Becky getting punched, Titus's slide at Greatest Road, like, all these things happened on accident, but they weren't written to happen that way.
So maybe with that, what Foster means more, and I think he is in the chat, so I don't want to put words in your mouth, Foster. But
I think what go ahead. What you were saying.
Well, no, I was just thinking, like, when you think about the Rusev Lana Lashley angle, even though, like, so many people see it as, like, awful, right? Like, maybe there is great TV there, just in the sense of, like, it's so bad it's good, and you create a guilty pleasure to be enjoyed by that generation. Like, oh, remember how fucking bad this storyline was, but you're still talking about it more than, say, Bryan's championship win at WrestleMania 30. I know that's a really weird example, but just that idea that, like, you didn't mean for it to be great in this certain way, but it became that way just because of how everything was executed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Again, like I said, I think that there's like a broken clock being right twice a day kind of thing. But I think that if you're seeing great TV, it's because it was written and intended to be exactly what you're seeing.
Yeah.
And if you're seeing bad TV, like I really think that if we're talking about things that are written, if they're happening the way that they're written, it's intentional. You know what I mean? Like, there's no accidents, and the things that are accidents then weren't written. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely.
So I'm actually going to say no to this. I don't think that great TV can be written on accident, but I do think that great TV can happen by accident. It's just not what was written in the first place.
There you go. All right.
Fourth question here from Foster: if you guys were at the Raw Town Hall, what would Seth blame you for?
Blame me for bullying him and calling him a loser.
You guys, you used to be my fans, and now you don't even believe in me. What the hell, man?
Your own fiance probably doesn't believe in you, Sethington. You just can't look her in the eye and ask her yourself. And then I'd walk out.
And even if he would, she'd just lie to his face.
All right. What would Seth blame you for?
I just said the whole not believing in him thing.
Oh, I thought you were just kind of Okay, yeah, that works. All right, next.
Favorite Butters moments.
Anything from Butters Bottom bitch. I think that was his best episode.
Yes.
That and him getting a ninja star in the eye was hilarious.
Oh, poor Butters.
Yeah, no.
Do you know what I am saying?
Yeah.
I will say though, I love the episode too where I think it was the episode where Cartman locked him in a refrigerator because of the nuclear zombie thing that he was pretending would happen because he wanted to get taken to some kind of water park or something like that. I don't remember the exact story. But at the end of it was the episode where his parents thought that he was dead. And they did like a pet cemetery spoof, and because I think some of the kids like threw a fake Butters off of a ceiling, off of a roof of a building. But then I just remember the very end of that episode, they literally had Butters strapped down in the basement because they thought that he was a zombie, and they nailed some woman over the head and tried to feed her to him, and he was just like,
Can I just have some SpaghettiOs?
that was the cutest thing I've ever heard. I loved that line from Butters. But yeah, that, and then yeah, Butters Bottom Bitch is just one of the best episodes of South Park ever, honestly.
All right. So that was the final question, right? So we're done Q&A here?
Yes.
All right, guys. We actually got through that pretty decently. Just
Two
under
and a
2.5
half
hours. Yeah. So good shit. Good
And
shit.
it did end up being 43 questions then, by the way.
All right. Well, we got through 43 questions, guys. All of you here know how Q&A works. If you donate to the Patreon, you get 5 questions per Q&A. If you don't donate to the Patreon, you only get 3 questions. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. Our next Q&A, seeing as how we do them at the last Thursday of every month, will be December 26th. So be sure to get your Q&A questions in. As soon as this video goes off, I will be switching the pinned tweet to update the Q&A information so you can get those questions in as soon as that's done. I hope everybody had an amazing Thanksgiving, and thank you for spending your evenings on this holiday with us, having your questions answered. We greatly appreciate it. And since I only really kind of cover that stuff, I'll leave it to Ashton to take us home.
Did you tell them when our next Q&A is going to be?
I just said December 26th.
Yeah. Day after Christmas. There you go, guys.
Yes, indeed. Yes. So
So
day after
Christmas is actually Q&A Eve, y'all.
Yeah, that's pretty freaking crazy, actually, how that works out. So, yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we do hope that you are all enjoying the Q&A. We hope that you all enjoyed our answers to your questions. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon, all that fun stuff. Follow us on Twitter, like our Facebook, buy the merch on Teespring, donate to the Patreon, share this channel, all that stuff. You know, I always go through that. I try not to do that too much on Q&A, because if you're here for Q&A, it's because you're already a part of the community and you already know this shit. So we hope that you are all able to get your questions in for the December Q&A on December 26th. That week is going to be fucking nuts too, by the way, because we've got to also remember that is going to end up leading to like the week of the first week of the month. Like it's always a crazy week because we do year-end awards on the 31st, and then we do 5 Fave 5s on the 1st, and then we do New Japan. We do preview and predictions for Wrestle Kingdom on the 2nd or 3rd, or maybe both. I don't know, because there's 2 days of Wrestle Kingdom, so we might do 2 days of preview predictions. We'll see. And then we do live reactions to both days of Wrestle Kingdom and New Year Dash. So that first week, that like the last day of the year and that first week of the new year is always fucking nuts for us. And that's on top of our usual actual content that we usually do anyway. So, you know, we're going to be doing, we're probably not going to be doing NXT live reactions on Christmas Day, because I'm guessing they're going to do like a clip show on that day. So I'm not worried about that. But we're probably going to have Stardom to do at some point in that time. And we're probably going to want to do NXT live reactions the following week. And I don't know how things are going to work out as far as TLC goes. And I don't know how things are going to work out as far as WWE's catch-up commentary goes. Like, it's going to be a crazy time in TWitWoW, guys. Just so that everyone is aware, it's going to be a nuts weekend and week in TWitWoW. It's going to be like an early TWitWoW Mania. And then the real TWitWoW Mania comes the first 3 weeks of April. So we hope that you're all looking forward to that. And if you want to get your questions in, go to John's Twitter and reply to his pinned tweet, or just wait for this video to finish processing and leave comments on this video. But regardless, all that we want you guys to really remember to do is, of course, as I always say, stay tuned.